What's up, guys? Yeah, we and it did it right when we went live. The reason why we were kind of delayed is because my camera's been tripping. But we're gonna get this right. I might need to get this
No, I
thing
can see
seen
you.
about.
I can see you now.
Can you see me now? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I can see you
Hopefully
now.
everybody else can see me now too, man. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing great, man. Coop and I also were debating offline. Um, you know, a very hot topic on our show, but we won't get into it right now. We'll give y'all a second. You hear Kyrie wants a trade.
Well. You see how everybody looks at me like I'm crazy when I be like, oh, well, get rid of him, send him off,
I
because he's
mean,
proven nothing over time.
you're not a Kyrie fan like that, huh?
And I'm a Duke fan, and I'm from North Carolina. Like I don't think people are paying attention to me. I'm going to say this again. I've been following him since he was in high school. He's a problem, Mike. For all the mercurial talent, there's also the mercurial attitude, emotional instability, the inability, the unavailability, the overall problematic nature. It's been like this. It's been like this from the jump. He only behaved. Listen to what I'm saying. It literally took somebody who is about to become the all-time scoring champ, who is widely considered, if not to be the greatest player by some people in this generation. He's definitely the second greatest player of all time. It took somebody like that just to get him on course for about 2 or 3 seasons, just to get like some of his potential out. And he's actually a better player now, but he just refuses. He rebukes thee. And I've been saying it. I've just been saying it over and over again. You can't count on him. And here's the thing about it. He hasn't proven that he's worth all of this if you don't sit him next to a Kevin Durant or LeBron James. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like he had. Think about this: the Boston team that just went to the finals. He had that team.
He did.
What did he do?
He got hurt, right?
And they were better without him. Now, what did they do?
They went to the finals without him. They were at the in the Eastern Conference Finals without him, even that year.
Now, what does that tell you?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, it seems like
So all these nice handles and wizard shots and the 27 points and the 90% from the free throw line and the 40% from three and the 45% from the floor. No, I get it. I dig it. I've been watching it since he was in high school.
so you don't want him on the Atlanta Hawks. I say, come on.
You can keep him. Like I told you, like he is literally interrupting one. He just literally disrupted the primes of one of the truly great players we've ever had in this league.
You're a
Like a
big
top
KD
10
guy.
to 15 player. You understand what I'm saying?
You're a big KD guy, so you really, really hate how this has transpired.
In the history of this game, how many players are better than Kevin Durant in your estimation, Mike? Like
I mean,
honestly.
off the top of my head, I mean, I'm sure I can name about 10, maybe. Just off of raw ability, he's obviously a hybrid. He's obviously something we've never seen before when it comes to his ball handling, his height,
So he's
his length, his shooting ability. So yeah,
so in the history of this game in the league where there's about 400 to 500 players a year, you're telling me he's one of the 15 best players ever, pretty much. Is what you're telling me.
easily, without me even
Okay,
thinking. Yeah,
okay,
easily.
Mike. When you have people like that, that's what I'm saying. Like that doesn't come along where you get a top 10, 15 player.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he's had two of them now.
He actually has.
And he's got one ring to show for it. As a matter of fact, Mike, he's had a top 5 player and he's had a top 15, 10 to 15 player, depending on who you ask. And he's got one ring.
With the
You don't
talent that
think
he has.
you don't think that's a little unsettling or off-putting that this man has literally played with LeBron James in LeBron's prime and played with Kevin Durant in Kevin Durant's prime, and he's got one ring?
Well, there's a lot of factors with that Cleveland thing, but
You don't think that's very problematic? I find that to be very
I mean,
problematic.
I'm messing
I
with my
find him
camera
to be
by the
very
way, guys,
problematic.
because my camera keeps messing up, so we can get this show rolling. 36 Chambers, yes.
And Kyrie.
You did not miss the Patreon this week. Dang, it's frozen again. Come on, man. You did not miss the Patreon this week. We definitely gonna jump back on this week. We got a whole lot to talk to our Patreon fan base about on Monday. So stay tuned for that because we want to change up some things, but we want to elevate what we're doing and elevate everything as far as that experience as well. Hopefully my camera can actually stay unfroze, but we'll see what's going on here. But to your point, I think there's a lot of factors in the fact that he only has one championship when it comes to playing with KD and LeBron. Number one, when he played with LeBron, we do have to understand what was on the other side. Competition actually matters. You got that Golden State team that was loaded, and they were more talented even if he was playing with LeBron James. I think they were lucky to actually get that one championship. He was lucky to get that one championship with LeBron. They outplayed Golden State at every turn, right? They went out there, came back 3-1. They were down 3-1, came back, won that championship against what statistically is the greatest regular season team of all time. So I think that's a great feat. And the fact that he only won one in that circumstance, I'm not going to knock him for that, because what that team did the next year is that team powered up and went and got the other guy you're talking about, KD, and put him on a 73-9 regular season team. So they weren't supposed to beat them, right? So that's one.
That's what it takes to beat LeBron.
That's one, right? And then the other part of him playing with Durant, I just don't think that they've had the time to actually, come together and be the team that they can be. I mean, so I don't know. In a vacuum, it does look bad, but there are factors to it. JY with the Super Chat says, it was written Liquid Swords and Midnight Marauders are all 13 songs long, excluding skits, intros. Possible versus battle with these albums. I like that. It was written in Liquid Swords, huh?
Well, that's 13 songs if you don't count Silent Murder.
Silent Murder's not on the album I bought. That's funny, man. I was just listening to Silent Murder. One of my favorite hip-hop songs, period, man. But yeah, I mean, you feel like Kyrie's going to LA?
I think nobody wants him, and I think he's stuck.
We want him in Atlanta,
No, we don't. Not really.
We want him in Atlanta.
We don't really want him, though. Like, we want to sell tickets, and we would like the gate attraction. Like, it'll be cool to go see him. Like I'll pay money to go see him, but we ain't going nowhere. He had Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and the same guys that went to the finals.
Yeah, that's interesting that he wasn't able to succeed in that situation.
No.
I
What
really
situation has he succeeded in, really, Mike? You just said he was lucky to win one. When has he succeeded? And on top of the fact, he's often injury prone. Like, he good to miss 20, 25 games on you. And now it's gotten to the point that we don't even know the variety of reasons that he's going to miss the 20 games on you.
I like Kyrie. I want Kyrie to win. You know what I mean? Like, I'm rooting for Kyrie.
I thought he had a shot until today. I thought they had a legitimate shot until today. It was all good just a week ago.
So why do you feel like he's asking for a trade?
Because they don't want to give him no money because he can't be trusted. They don't want to sign him to a long-term deal. They probably offered him a 2-year, $90 million deal with an option to, like with an option after the first year, you know what I'm saying, to get out of the deal, with certain stipulations. He probably didn't like the language of the contract. It was pretty much like, hey, you're going to have to, report the facility all the time. Go to training camp, play basketball. Mike, do your job. They're going to ask him to do his job in the contract. And he probably like, oh, well, who are you to ask me to, do my job? Because that's what he does. And that's how we got here. Yes, that is
it. I don't want to speculate to that degree. Eric Terrell has a super chat. He says,
yeah, I've been paying attention then.
He says, Coop and Mike, I really want to know why y'all pick apart hip-hop icons for shows. For show, there are many talents. Missy, Andre 3000, Dr. Dre. But if someone says that the Beatles isn't the greatest band, y'all go off. They they stole from the Osley brothers. Listen, that's not me on the Beatles tip like that. I respect what the Beatles done. I'll be going off when somebody says U2's better than the Beatles. And I respect people's opinion. I respect the longevity of U2. I think that the innovation of the Beatles can't be denied in relation to, their counterparts. But as far as picking apart, Missy, Andre, and Dr. Dre, we're just trying to be as fair and as balanced as possible. I have a question for, man, I hate that my camera is tripping. It's going to get right. Golly. I have a question for the people who feel like that me specifically is picking apart Andre. I don't understand why y'all don't feel like this is such a slight to Big Boy, who is half of the group and half of the catalog of everything that they're giving Andre credit for. Not to mention every single song that Outkast put out there that's mainstream and had all kind of success. You can hear Big Boy's footprint all over the choruses. So how do y'all feel like, let's just be real here. Let's be 100%. How should Big Boy feel about the fact that he has 4 solo albums? He has kept the brand alive. He has went out there and killed features. He has been a part of all of these classic albums, these classic efforts, and he's still doing it. And he's not even considered in a top 50 list. And the guy that he's sharing bars with on all of these albums that he was great on as well, because these albums don't get 5, 4.5 mics if he's trash. You know what I mean? How do y'all think he feels that Andre keeps getting like high rankings and high marks and is number 12 on the list and he's not even in the top 50? I mean, all of that personal stuff that y'all are, the admiration you're feeling for. Oh, shoot. Coop's gone now. And my camera is frozen. We got all kind of technical difficulties today. Bear with us real quick. Where's Coop at? Let me get Coop back in here. He's just gone. Okay, that's him right. You there, bro?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. But yeah, all of the, I don't see you on the screen. Okay, there you go. All of the things that you guys are feeling and the compassion that you're feeling for Dre in these situations, he doesn't have a single individual song with 3 verses by himself. Why don't y'all stop and think, like, how does this affect Big Boy, the guy who's actually doing the work, who was actually a part of all of this stuff? Why does nobody ever think of Big Boy, Coop?
I mean, I did speak to how I told you some of the rhetoric can be, I think, off-putting in terms of how it broadens audiences. So I think Andre has a broader audience of the two within the fan base. But the reality and the fact of the matter is, Mike, that he's getting this ranking based on, I'd say, 97% of the material that you've heard him on, that he's getting ranked this highly for, has been with Big Boy right there. Mm-hmm. Like co-piloting the ship with him, and oftentimes appearing to be like more of the actual front man and core of the group than him,
Exactly.
And so the fact that, the output musically, as far as their classic group catalog, is the same, and that Big Boy has 4 viable solo albums, 2 which I find to be pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. 2 4 I find to be really impressive. And that's not, and then you just start looking at the accolades and what they've done collectively for the South. It's like, when we speak about the South's comeuppance, we don't say like Andre 3000 in the Dungeon Family. We be like Outkast.
Exactly.
In the Dungeon Family. And so the fact that Big Boy didn't even make this list isn't like us trying to hate on Andre. It's very, very valid. The things that you were questioning in terms of the integrity of it, even if there's like, everybody has a rubric and, in a criteria, like we have ours, And so even if you were to run this through like their viable criteria, putting him at 12 doesn't add up, and leaving Big Boy off at the point that you put him at 12 is just like a true case of, has my daughter said, the math is not mathing, daddy.
The thing is, man, I feel like anybody who feels like the separation between Big Boy and Dre is that far apart, they're not really Outkast fans. You're Andre fans.
Be having me feel like it's Reagan and it's cracking the 80s again, the way people be doing some stuff.
But it's kind of like what you and I were talking about offline, and you and I have a disagreement when it comes to this Eminem thing and his impact. And I hope my camera's able to work, because I'm tired of doing this. It's very distracting, and I'm sure it's distracting to the people too. It just keeps pausing. It's crazy. I think it's more of a loading thing. I don't know. But I think just like how you're saying, Eminem's impact, you can see Eminem's impact through sales and things of that nature. My argument is, I think the people that are Eminem fans that, were attributing to his massive levels of sales, a small population of them are actually hip-hop fans. Those people are actually Eminem fans. And so the way I feel about this adoration for Dre, they're not really Outkast fans. They're Andre fans. Because there's no way you could be an Outkast fan and, feel like this man is 12th all time, especially when looking at the whole picture, right? Looking at everything even after the fact and the things that he hasn't done, right? That individuals have to kind of prove that they can do. You can't be an Outkast fan. You have to just be specifically, I'm a Hey Ya fan. I'm a Love Below fan. You know what I mean? Like, that's where this is coming from, because like you said, when you think about everything on their first three albums are heralded the most, right? From hip-hop fans. And you look at those records and those songs that actually made a mark, Elevators. That's Big Boy's hook. The song ATLians, Throw Your Hands in the Air, that's Big Boy.
Rosa Parks. We've done this rundown before where I told you I was doing that dig.
Well, I want to do it again just for the people who, clearly can't, comprehend these things. Rosa Parks. Aha. Hush That Fuzz. Who does that sound like? It's like that now. You better go get the hump about your back. That's Big Boy. No. So, you know what I mean? So if you are denying his impact to the point where he's not even on a list, and elevating Andre to the point where he's like damn near top 10 MC all time, you're not an Outkast fan. You're an Andre fan, and you pretty much just gave him this level of status on features.
But that's the thing, Mike. Even on the features, Big Boy is usually floating around on those too. That's what I mean when I say 97%. Yeah. He's even on a lot of the features. They're on a lot, Yeah. It's not like there's a ton of like epic Andre verses without Big Boy there. There's not like a slew of them. There's not.
And not to mention the biggest elephant in the room is Big Boy has shown that he can actually make rap music as a solo artist. That is important. Well,
I think you want to know what, Mike? I think that's because he really operated in the context of a solo artist a lot of the time, making those Outkast projects. Mike, I told you it sounded like Big Boy laid a lot of this stuff down, and Dre just kind of came in when he was actually, feeling inspired and finished it up. A lot of the records sound like that. Like, not ATLians the song, Mike, but ATLians the album kind of plays like that.
Right.
Like, you can tell that it's like Big Boy in the studio, like holding it down. Two Dope Boys in a Cadillac. Mike, you ran it down. Think about it. Two Dope Boys in a Cadillac. ATLians. Elevators. Over the Woods.
Oh, somebody said Illmatic fans aren't Nas fans. That's really interesting.
That's true.
It is true, and we even saw that when Rosenberg and what's his name? Cypher Sounds did that whole Magic thing. They kept going back to Illmatic, and it's like, yeah, you're an Illmatic fan, not really a Nas fan.
Yeah. You really don't get down with Nas. You get down with Illmatic. Yeah.
I know my joint's still frozen, but right when I was about to actually change it, it unfroze. So I'm going to give it some time and see if it unfreezes. I know this is very distracting for everybody, including myself. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand why people who, take issue with us actually telling the truth. Nobody's making up anything about Andre's lack of individual material. I mean, what is there to get mad about? I mean, if you're being singled out as an individual on an individual list, then the lack of individual I'm sorry, not regular, the lack of solo material should be questioned, right? Y'all are quick to talk about how Daytona has 7 songs.
That's 7 more songs than he's done.
Ever. Again, man, like I said, if Outkast is on a list, Outkast deserves everything. You know what I mean?
I just hate that we even have to do this, Mike, because it's too often when we're having this conversation, we're really having this conversation, and what y'all are talking about and what people will keep on looking at is they keep on looking at the talent, and they're not looking at the output.
I did that for a long time, too.
Quality matters. No. This is what I mean. Okay, so this is what I'm about to say, Mike. You can't tell me, and this is what I mean about when I started thinking about it. You can't tell me that Andre 3000 is more impactful than Eminem. How? With what material, Mike? You feel me?
I know somebody was asking.
On what measure other than his talent as an MC is he actually better? Do we think he's a better storyteller? It's probably. Does he have a stand, Mike?
He doesn't.
Okay. Does he have a The Way I Am?
He doesn't.
So how is he ahead of Eminem?
You're right. Somebody asked, I think in our comment section, they wanted to know if me specifically, I think they asked you as well, if we thought that Eminem was better than Andre. I mean, the way I answer that is I just don't think that he's qualified to be put up against any solo MC.
I mean, that's what I mean. This is what I mean.
This so not qualifiable, like you said. So we
talk about, so Mike, I mean, we, and I'll say we because it's we co-host the show together, but oftentimes, and a lot of that time, that vantage point is yours. You speak to some of the unfairness and the privilege that comes with Eminem being Eminem in this hip-hop sphere. But this is what I mean. Andre not having a solo catalog makes putting him next to Eminem in Eminem's catalog in impact and output and other quality people that he's put on that have also sold as well. That makes that unfair to Eminem at this point. That's how egregious it is.
You're right. You're right. I mean, it is what it is.
And I hate it. And then you make us have to talk about it because you refuse to acknowledge Big Boy after everything I just said, and then you don't acknowledge Big Boy. And it's just okay, whatever the meter or the measure is, it kind of the rubric, whatever rubric it is that's being worked right now needs to be reworked, quite frankly, because it's not accounting for Big Boy at all, which means it's well, y'all are missing y'all are having Andre right here in the middle of this equation. You get what I'm saying? In the middle of this equation, y'all have Andre somewhere in the middle, and y'all have Big Boy somewhere outside the sphere of the equation. It's well, where, with what? Where? How?
And the reason why I spoke to it in that way is because it feels like Big Boy is getting erased from Outkast. As ridiculous as that sounds, it feels like Big Boy.
Outkast. He's the only one waving the flag.
He is the only one waving the flag. If we go to their most notable records from their first 3 albums, even the 4th one or whatever, but the first 3 are the ones are the reasons why we hold them so high in the culture. And you go to those key records, that's Big Boy's impact. Now, Andre came with the verses. Clearly, he's a dope MC, incredible MC. But to sit here and act like Big Boy's not even in the group, it's wild to me. And I think that needs to be noted. Number 12 versus not even on the scale. And I'm not trying to be funny. I love Bun B. But if we're sitting here weighing out everything, you got Bun B on the top 50. Big Boy got to be on there. You got Dr. Dre on the top 50. Big Boy got to be on there. And you got Andre at 12. And you got some people on here who don't even write their own shit. Come on, man. And then, and the crazy part, Coop, is when I say those things, niggas coming at me why you trying to discredit Andre? This ain't got nothing to do with this nigga. It doesn't. Like, damn. Like, even if you stick up for Big Boy and tell the truth and give the raw facts, niggas is still like, well, what about Andre? Now that's love right there. Y'all love Andre, and I love him too. But I'm an Outkast fan first, because Outkast gave me more of a reason to be a fan of the collective than the individual has.
See, Mike, this is what you keep trying to say. That like I'm not about to say. No, fam. I love Outkast and I love Big Boy. I don't know who Andre is, even as an artist. So no, I don't love him, because it's like I don't know enough to love him. I know Outkast.
I love Andre for what Andre gave to me when he was actually activated. And I still give him love for that.
Thing. That's not an Andre thing. Right. That's an Andre and Big Boy thing.
You're right. But when it comes to Big Boy, the love I got for Big Boy and the fact that he sits here and takes this bullshit without actually saying anything and continuously is about the unit, Big Boy is the greatest partner that possibly music has ever seen. No, he's
the best friend ever.
He's a great guy, man.
He's an awesome guy.
He is, man. Because I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. John Wayne with the super chat says, Illmatic is overrated. I would love you guys to break down the bars so people can realize how overrated it is. Do you really want us to do that? You might find out that it's not overrated. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, y'all talking up Eminem to dog out 3000. Classic. No, we're not. We're not dogging out 3000. We're just being honest.
This is what I mean. See, everybody has a horse in this race, Mike. And it's like some people you're just not allowed to big up. Like, I'm not allowed to give him any props, apparently. We're not allowed to talk down about Andre. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no. We're not allowed to do that at a court.
It ain't even talking down.
No, we're allowed to be honest with the people about what we're seeing.
It's not even talking down. Because I have no reason to talk down on Andre, because he's done so much for the city. And for me, personally, as an artist and as a creative. But I'm not going to sit here and act like he's done things that he hadn't done, guys. I'm not going to lie to people. And when you lie to big up somebody else's things that other people haven't done and ignore the things that others have done, that's just unfair. And my camera's working now, so we on, man.
It is. The camera's been working fabulous. I don't think you understand. I've met Andre on multiple occasions. He is literally one of the nicest human beings you would ever want to meet in life. I feel the same way about Big Gip. Some of the nicest people you would ever want to meet.
I love them.
Great guys.
Cool.
We're talking musically. I don't know you enough personally to like love you. So when I'm talking about love, I'm talking about my love for your music and your catalog.
Yeah.
So when I'm saying I don't love Dre because I don't know Dre, I'm saying because there ain't no catalog outside of Big Boy.
Well, you're right.
To give me evidence
that
says that I should love what it is that you do by yourself. I have no proof of that.
Not as a rapper. Justin Jones of the super chat
barely as a singer, Mike, or artist or creative. We could just call him a creative on the Love Below. As a creative, you gave us about 10 great joints. 10.
And let's just be real here, and I would be remiss if I didn't say this. You refused to tour on that album. So as a performer, I don't know where to put you, really.
Can you imagine that album actually getting some unplugged treatment? She Lives in My Lap and Prototype and Hey Y'all live.
You mean doing the work?
With the band?
You mean doing the work and actually going out there doing a world tour?
See, now you're being shady.
No, I'm just being real, man. What's Purple Rain without a tour? You know what I'm saying? What's Purple Rain without a tour? What's Sign of the Times without a tour? Come on, man. Those are epic moments. And if you got an epic album like that sold that many records and it's album of the year at the Grammys and stuff and you don't tour on it as musical as it is, that's unheard of.
And it actually plays like a play.
Yeah.
How about this? What Kendrick tried to do, Andre actually did on the Love Below.
Yeah.
It made it sound good.
Yeah.
That's actual play/opera that you can play.
Music missed a lot of moments by that not having a tour. And, Big Boy missed a lot of money. Not that he's tripping on it. But, people missed a lot of money and a lot of experiences by that not being toured on. Justin Jones with the super chat says, even the way you move, which was a Big Boy solo record, went #1 on Billboard 200, and folks act like he don't exist. Seems like Eminem's Till I Collapse started people separating Cass to just Dre. I can see that, because that was really the first time that anybody put out a list and threw Andre on a list and separated him from Big Boy.
But what did he say? He said Andre from what?
Andre from Outkast. He did say that.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He did. Kendall Outlaw with the super
Andre
chat
from
says,
Outkast.
if M and Andre dropped a verse on the same day, who are you checking on first? Andre, obviously. But that's not the whole
This is what I
barometer.
mean. We got to get out of this train of thought, Mike. Like, that's the end all be all and that matters. Like, that don't really matter at the end of the day.
It's one factor. And, when we're talking about... And I'm glad we're going to do a lyricist list, right? Those are things that matter on a lyricist list. But if we're talking about an overall artist, when you have to make full compositions, you have to repeatedly write verse after verse after verse to create one song, and not just write a verse that goes to a song and actually make choruses and make albums. It's a whole different thing. Not to mention be a performer too on top of that.
Like, how about this? This is what I mean. It's just like, okay, so we talk about Drake and the Quentin Miller and the ghostwriting from Quentin, right? Drake still done penned way, way more songs than Andre ever has.
Well, let's look at the hooks. Yeah. All right, so yeah, if we feel that way about Quentin Miller or whoever's writing hooks for Drake or whoever, how do we feel about Big Boy really taking up the task to having to do most of the hooks for Outkast albums?
Like ATL.
What does that mean? Yeah. I mean, let's just be balanced, but at the end of the day, ain't nobody tripping because they're a group. You know what I mean? They're a group, and that's what groups do. Groups collaborate. But don't sit here and pull somebody out of the group like the other person doesn't exist and give that one person full credit for all the group. It's like you're doing a group project. One person gets an A and the other person gets a C for the same project.
I don't know how much I've been learning so much the last 2 weeks from talking to Glove. There are so many insightful moments that I'm pulling from our conversations from the interview mentally in my head. But I'm going to tell you one of the main ones that's really, really been sticking with me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I asked him, do you remember when I asked him what was the better album, Easy Does It or Born and Raised in Compton?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, Easy Does It. Did you see how quick he responded in the way he said it?
Yeah, Easy was a star.
And when I tried to talk about Born and Raised in Compton, he literally said, hold on, Coop. As in, stop that. Stop that way of thinking. He literally kind of paused on me. Yeah. It was the only time he paused at any point of our interview. I watch people's nonverbal, too, even when I'm talking to him. And that was the only time he was like, no, hold up, wait. It was one of those teaching moments where he's like, no, I'm trying to teach you something, show you something. Like watch this. Easy is double platinum. That's what he said. He said, Easy double platinum. Yeah. And then he said what you just said. He said, Coop, Easy a star.
Yeah.
And then he said, and this is how he framed it so you understood and put it in perspective of how the music business worked. Easy somebody that would bring Quick on tour.
No, you're right. Well, that's a hierarchy.
Business.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
No,
and so
right.
When he said that, then I understood what he was talking about. He's saying, hey, fam, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the quality of the music. It's way, way bigger than that picture over here on this side when you in the room, when you behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Now you get to understand what it's like behind the scenes, and you understand that this quality conversation, Mike, to be honest with you, this quality conversation that we're having outside of the ability to create classic albums, we can't keep treating it like the end all be all.
No, I agree with that 100%.
Because
that's
Born
very
and Raised in
subjective.
Compton, because when I hear Born and Raised in Compton, I think it's better than Easy Does It. But when he said all of that, I was like, but I wasn't in the room. Now was I?
I remember I rarely watch Vlad TV, but I saw Tito Jackson on there, so I had to watch, right? Big Jackson fan, all of them. And I think he asked him something along the lines of, what's the better album, Off the Wall or Thriller? He's like, Thriller sold more, right? And this is Tito. He was there for all of it. It's when
this is what I mean.
Yeah.
When I be saying off the wall is better, I'm talking about the music's better.
Yeah.
I know what Thriller is. Like how about this? If we were to put Off the Wall and Thriller in our rubric, Thriller would win. Impact, Thriller.
Yeah.
You feel me?
But I've heard Quincy say he, thinks Off the Wall is the best piece of work they've done. So I guess it depends.
He's talking about the music.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
He's a music guy.
He's a band director.
Yeah.
So the band director is talking about his most beautiful symphony. He's not talking about the symphony that was sold out around the world. Like he's just talking about that symphony that it's like this, Mike. It's like when 10 million people see the symphony versus when 50 million people see the symphony. It's like, well, the 10 million symphony might have been a better symphony in terms of like the orchestra and the band and the music, but 50 million people saw the other symphony.
Let me get to some of these super chats real quick. I got you. You're right. What's this? I Am a J says, where is Future on the list? He should be top 10. We kind of covered that last episode. We kind of put Future and Missy to the side because they're very, very tough to judge. Eric Terrell says, okay, why clown Missy for the Hall of Fame? I don't think anybody's clowning. This is what I'm going to say. And I got to keep it consistent. And I said these same things when Eminem was nominated early. I think Snoop Dogg is getting passed upon, and it's tragic. I don't think that Missy should get in there before Snoop. That's my only thing. Now, I do think that what we're doing in current times, and maybe sometimes this happens, over time for different reasons. We've seen this with 3 6 Mafia. I feel like Missy is getting a lot more flowers now than she was getting, let's just say 10 years ago, which is cool, which is fine. I love it. I love Missy. I used to be one of the people that would go, to the mat for Missy when everybody was saying like, nah, she ain't got no bars. But I understand the full collective of it. But all I'm saying is I feel like if you want to talk about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and we're talking about being a rock star, I personally don't think it's fair to have Missy in there before Snoop or Lil' Kim. I don't.
No.
Lil' Kim's an icon. It is what it is.
I mean, they base it off of a tenure in terms of your time of entry. And
right.
So allowing her in when Snoop has been eligible X amount of years, yes, I agree with you. That doesn't mean we're downplaying Missy, but who in our culture like really, really thinks that Missy deserves to get in before Snoop?
Right. Who really thinks that? Or hold on, Coop. I got another one for you. Wu-Tang Clan.
Cool.
I mean, really, you guys really think it's cool that Missy is being nominated before Wu-Tang? Now, let's not be politically correct here. I love Missy. But we got to be fucking honest, man. And every time that we're being honest doesn't mean that we're playing somebody or hating on somebody. You really think that if somebody told you, like, yo, who you think should get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame first? Missy Elliott or Wu-Tang? Nigga, you would laugh at them.
I would ask them if they smoking rocks.
Come on, man. We got to stop playing games out here, man.
They're smoking rocks.
Gary Pierce with the super chat says, thou shalt not talk down to 3 Star. Shaking my head. Not one song, yet they want to move to Biggie. We always talk about Biggie, being ranked so high with only 2 albums and those things, and no one has a problem with an artist with no solo work. It's crazy.
It's not just it's not just like it's regular solo work Biggie provides.
No, it's not. It's not. Leroy Green with the super chat says, "What's up, A2HH? But I agree with y'all. We love Andre, but Big Boy, the reason we didn't clown him when he started going way out there artistically." Yes, Leroy Green obviously is old enough to remember that. The only reason why Andre had the room and the bandwidth to go out there with blonde wigs in the 90s and ski boots and knee pads is because Big Boy was right there co-signing it and fucking with it and was daring anybody to say anything about it. He's important. It's not to mention the fact, Coop, that Big Boy had to, not had to, but he was agile enough as an MC to continuously adjust to all the different things and the nuances that Andre was discovering musically throughout his journey. He was able to continue to do what he was doing and adjust to Andre. Andre never adjusted to him, really. Once Andre got to that blonde wig stage, he never adjusted to Big Boy. Maybe every now and then with maybe like Spaghetti Junction or something. But I got to give Big Boy versatility points for that.
No, Mike, I don't think you understand. After the first album, Andre literally did what he wanted. Even if it was Big Boy song, he never stayed on message. You can go look into the songs AT Aliens. Now, it goes, throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. And if you like fish and grits and all the pimp shit, okay? His verse goes, my oral illustration be like clitoral stimulation to the female gender. Hold on. You feel what I'm saying? So he's always been on these tracks doing his own thing.
And when you said that, the first thing that popped in my mind was anybody who actually owns Outkast albums will understand. After the first album, Andre will take a break on an album. You'll have some songs that's like with just Big Boy and Backbone, a Cool Breeze. You'll have like a Decatur song on there. You'll have something where Andre just took a couple songs off and comes back. Like literally on the Kumani, we get Slump, which he's not on. West Savannah comes on, which is just Big Boy, and then he comes back. You know what I'm saying?
On the second verse of the next song.
That happens on Outkast albums. It's like never the other way around.
Literally 12 minutes of the album where you don't hear him.
Yeah. It's never the other way around. Big Boy's always been clocking in every single song.
Goes to work. Goes to work every day.
And then, but see, this is what we tend to do. We tend to hold up higher people who gave us less. And I think as much as I love Lauren, as incredibly talented I feel Lauren is, we do that a lot with her because she was just such a one-of-one. She was so perfect. And everything that she put out after Blended on Reality was just perfection. And we want to hang on to just that level of perfection and not face the reality of the fact that, you know what, there are people out here who have given us imperfect moments, but they've also given us 4 to 5 perfect moments. And somehow we hold those 1 or 2 perfect moments over that. With that whole notion that, oh, I never heard a whack verse from such and such.
But that's what I mean. That's a talent thing. Like I'll tell you what, Lauren gonna make the lyricist list.
Of course. But she just doesn't have enough to make this list.
Easy money.
Yeah. Of course.
Easy money.
JY with the super chat says, that's why Outkast, the perfect, I guess, dichotomy. Andre leaves Earth and Big Boy brings you right back. If Andre did a solo rap, he wouldn't connect back to Earth, if you could get me. Could sound too disconnected. I mean, I truly feel like, you know, when they was talking about CeeLo could have been an Outkast, and let's just say hypothetically, Outkast was CeeLo and Andre in 1994.
When no work get done, that's why that didn't happen. Wouldn't be no albums getting done, Mike.
CeeLo works.
Have no
now,
albums.
I'm not gonna say that about CeeLo. CeeLo goes to work. CeeLo and Big Boy go to work. I will give them that, but I just don't think that they would have been able to connect. Big Boy is very, very important to the roots of hip hop and how Outkast is able to connect. You know what I mean? Like when you got 2 people leaving Earth to a certain level, you lose a lot of people. But when you got somebody like Big Boy who keeps that collective grounded, he helped them develop that core fan base. And I remember when I was in high school and this stuff was coming out, and Andre might, you know, be going left field and everything, people would still buy the Outkast album because they knew that Big Boy wasn't going to let him go too far. That was the narrative. Like, you know what? I know he's doing all this, but, you know, he ain't going to go too far. We know Big Boy going to be spitting. We know what we're going to get from him. He's the consistency.
See, now, hold on. Do you know how unfair that is to him and how that may have stunted his growth as an artist. That he
I
always
know.
had to consistently hold it down and be the same person on every single album to
Yep.
give you something consistent to look forward to.
Yep.
You think that was fair to him as an artist in terms of him spreading his wings?
Very selfless, man. And clearly it has affected the way he's been viewed, throughout the whole collective, unfortunately.
Clearly. Now, do you think that he did all of that for it to reflect in this manner?
It's sickening, man. It really is.
It's sad too. It makes me a little sad because by no meter or measure does Andre belong next to the people that they even have him next to. It's like, think about it. It's like they have him between Kanye and Rakim. It's like, you know how many classic solo songs those guys have? Like, of all the guys, think about of all the guys who have great records by themselves. Wouldn't you say Kanye and Rakim would register in the top 5 in terms of having great records with nobody else on them?
Like I said on
And
the
y'all
previous
put him
episode.
right between two guys like that.
Yeah, like I said on the previous episode, throw both of those guys on the Super Bowl stage. I got some records that they could play. Now throw him on the Super Bowl stage. And don't play an Outkast record. Eric Terrell with the super chat. Yeah, you're not getting no rap records. Eric Terrell with the super chat says Missy wrote hits for Whitney. Hits for Whitney Houston. I guess he meant. What records did Missy write for Whitney?
She did like a lot of the stuff on the My Love Is Your Love. I think what was that album? It's Not Right, But It's Okay. Like that album.
I know Clef did that one. I know Rodney Jerkins did that one. What songs?
I know she did some stuff on that album.
I mean, I'm sure she did, but we're not gonna sit here and act like they were the hits, though.
I'm not sure which songs. I just remember. I just do remember that being a thing that she did work with Whitney.
Are those rap songs? No, I'm not questioning her, songwriting pen, but are those rap songs?
No, but
Yeah, but I guess they're talking about the Hall of Fame thing. So yeah, she's definitely a hybrid.
No. We're not saying that Missy is not. See, this is what people have to understand. When we're saying that Missy doesn't belong before Snoop or Wu-Tang, we're saying that based on what? The criteria being provided by their academy that says that you can be inducted after X amount of time. Well, if the time has come where Snoop and Wu-Tang have been eligible and have not even been named yet, but now she has been named, that is not to say that she is not deserving, because she obviously is.
And they're trying to...
she does not deserve to go before them is all we are saying, based on their timing and tenure criteria. It's part of their rubric.
What I don't like is they're trying to recycle the notion that Tribe is up as well. Tribe was up last year, too. And they didn't make it in. Eminem made it in. And hopefully Tribe will make it in this year. But again, Tribe should have been in 5 years ago.
Don't hold your breath.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know. I mean, Missy's going to get in. There's a lot of hoopla with that, first.
The hoopla's already there. It's going down.
Yeah.
And kudos to her for doing that, because it's well-deserved.
Yeah, well-deserved. But, again.
But it can be well-deserved. And everything being spat out by us be also very accurate as well. People don't understand with a lot of these things and these nuances and these things that we speak about, it can be both of the things. It doesn't have to be one.
I just don't, and we saw this with LL Cool J. I just don't get this Snoop Dogg omission all the time, man. Like, Snoop is probably the most famous rapper ever. And he's still going. And he has some of the most timeless hits ever. The fact that he gets skipped over is insane. It's just flat out disrespect. Now, I don't expect the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to totally get Tribe and Wu-Tang right. I know it's a popularity contest, even though those guys they meet every level of criteria for an institution like that. But with somebody like Snoop, like, which is it, man? Is it about you being a groundbreaking musician or musical artist, which is what Tribe and Wu-Tang are known for, or is it about Snoop. Star power? That's Snoop.
Well, Snoop's both of those.
He's all of those things.
That's what I'm saying.
Man.
And he made Doggy Style. It's like, I don't understand.
I don't understand.
How about this? There are rock and roll bands that are in there who literally only made like one really like truly classic great
Yeah,
album.
I know.
And
Sex
those
Pistols.
albums, hold on, and those albums in their culture don't even resonate on the same register that Doggy Style does in this one. And so it's like he checks literally all of their boxes. He checks all of our boxes. He checks everybody's boxes.
And the biggest thing with the Snoop thing, in my opinion, is we know how close Dr. Dre is with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, how much work he's done with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's always up there presenting. How the hell is Snoop not in there?
It's very
Snoop is the most important piece there has ever been to Dr. Dre. Like, yeah, like
Snoop on death row, fool. Put him in the Rock and Roll Hall
I don't
of
understand that, man.
You know, The Chronic just came back out on streaming platforms.
Oh yeah, I've been bumping it.
I did too, Mike. I played The Chronic from beginning to the end the other day. So can I tell you something? This can never go understated. I played The Chronic right after I played Ready to Die. Now, The Chronic is coming out like 2.5 years almost before Ready to Die, Mike. Sonically, it sounds so superior.
Yep.
I mean, the sounds, the cleanness, the crispness.
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta talk the glove again. We probably gonna need 2 more. It's gonna have to be a 4-peat. It's gonna have to be a 4-peat.
It's insane, man.
Because I gotta ask him, man, because I can't even front. When I heard this is dedicated to the niggas that was down from day one, it's like the way it sounded, Mike. I was like, shit.
Yeah, man.
My ears was like,
it's insane. That
yeah.
album does not sound 31 years old, man.
No, it does not, Mike. It sounds very much like it was made about 5 or 6 years ago, sound-wise, like sound quality-wise.
Same thing with
like,
Doggy Style.
That shit matters. Shit matters when it hits the speakers, Mike. When it hit my headphones, I was like...
Doggy Style's going to be celebrating...
Like I was back on death row.
Doggy Style's going to be celebrating 30 years this year. They really missed the opportunity in inducting Snoop into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on the 30th anniversary of Doggy Style. But I digress. Jay Short with the super chat says, from a purely hip-hop standpoint, if Missy is in, Nelly has to be in too, right? Because his songwriting, hook game, and impact is equal. Slippery slope. I'm okay with Nelly getting in.
I'm okay with room on the stage for everybody.
You want to talk about impact, Coop.
So since you keep missing people, we're just here to remind you. It's like, well, there's a whole, Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang Clan,
I mean, you want to talk about impact through sales, because that was the conversation you and I were having offline. Nelly really has impact through sales, because Nelly's sales and his success empowered a whole region. We don't get Chingy without the success of, you know what I mean?
I believe Nelly has sold over 5 mil 2 times, which is almost like impossible for a rapper to do.
And he did that shit with no cosign.
And
he had no Dr. Dre there. You know what I mean?
Either. Wasn't the problem.
No. He did it with really unknown producers too. Nobody knew who J.E. was. And he did it from a place that nobody had even heard rappers from. It's insane. I think what Nelly did is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen.
It's an overlooked moment because, and this is what I mean about how like we have to start putting emphasis on some things. You want to know why it's overlooked? Because he's not a quote unquote what? Lyricist. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that doesn't matter.
He doesn't check those East Coast check marks for what an MC should be.
But see, the thing is, Coop, it's unfortunate, and I'm not saying this to down anybody. That seems to go out the window when we're talking about Missy.
How convenient. We be picking it. I told you, Mike, we be picking and choosing the heroes that we like.
Exactly.
We be picking and choosing instead of just being fair. It's supposed to be fair. It's not supposed to be picky and choosing.
Listen, Nelly needs to get his flowers.
Like,
and anybody who's
right here, you motherfuckers is right here.
Anybody who's out here watching this right now, man, Nelly needs to get his flowers for what Nelly brought to the game and coming out of nowhere and doing something that was unpopular and made it popular and continued to do it and then put everybody on and did it with no cosigns, no major producers. I was listening, I think Hot in Here came on out of nowhere, and I thought to myself, that was the first record him and the Neptunes ever made together. And they knocked that shit out the park. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, the first record they ever made together was probably one of the biggest songs of its time. That's insane.
And I'm not a big fan of the record, but I cannot deny, like what you just said, just how big that record was.
Yeah. First time they ever got in the
Massive.
studio together.
Was massive, Mike.
Yeah.
It was everywhere.
Yeah. Esquire with
Yeah.
the super chat says, y'all aren't wrong about the importance of solo work, but if we're gonna die on this hill, please reconsider ranking Method Man so high based on Woo features. Well, Esquire, the difference between Method Man and Andre 3000 is Method Man has a I'll be there for you. He has a Bring the Pain. Andre does not have these
He
what
doesn't
don't
even have
people
a cream or
understand?
ice cream as a hook that's that famous. He doesn't even have a famous hook. Where's hold on. What's Andre's most famous hook, Mike?
Probably Bonds Over Bad Dad or Miss Jackson. I would say Miss Jackson.
And this is what I mean too about how like Talking the Glove changed the way that I think. He keeps on telling every episode, he's like, nobody does it by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps on reminding us of that for a reason, to let you understand how collaborative the process of making great music is.
Yeah.
Like, you have to understand also who he is in the rooms that Glove walks in. Well, the rooms he's walking in are A+ rooms. These aren't C- rooms he's walking in. He's giving you, these two interviews, Mike, he's giving us insight to way A-listers look at things and view things and work. So when he's saying, Coop, nobody does it alone, repeatedly, he's not just saying that to me, he's saying that to our audience to let you know that great shit that you're hearing, if you think just one or two people are involved, you smoking dope. It's not how it goes.
And I think that's definitely their process, and you can really hear in a Dre production that it is a collective. But what I will say on top of that, you have to think, how great is somebody like a Method Man or a Nelly when we know wherever they go, great hooks follow. You know what I mean? Like, it's not because, and I say this respectfully, like Murphy Lee and Ali and them don't have an EI hook or a Ride With Me hook on their solo stuff, or a Country Grammar hook, or a Hot in Here hook, or, you know, like, it don't.
and
he's
but
special.
This is what I mean. When I talk to Glove and he keeps bringing up the collaborative part of it, I don't think people understand. No, that makes me want to put Method Man higher, because now I have a true behind the scenes look from somebody in the room that's speaking to the collaborative process. And I'm thinking, well, think about how many MC rooms he's walked into for the first time and just completely stunned, Mike.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like
and even, not to interrupt you, but to kind of piggyback on that, even if, let's just say, some of those hooks weren't Method Man or Nelly's idea and it came from somebody in the crew, he's the best person to execute it. You got to give him credit for that too.
Hey, Mike, how about this? The coach doesn't draw up a 3-point shot for a nigga who can't shoot.
Right. You draw the play up for the person that can make the shot. Let's give the ball
to the guy without the great, awesome voice. It's like,
right.
Oh, that's what we're doing today? That's what we're doing today? It's like we're going to lose the game.
Yeah. And, you know, anybody else doing the cream or ice cream hooks, it doesn't come off like that.
No, it doesn't. How about this? Like listening to Raekwon or Ghost say, watch these rap niggas get all up in your guts, French vanilla butter. Like, even if they wrote it, it was a collab. Oh, no. Having Meth spit that, Mike, and I told you, the part of the song where it goes from like great to like epic is when he like freestyles the bridge at the end. You can't invent those moments. Guess what? Can't. Mike, that's what stars do. When you put stars,
those are the chills.
To succeed, that's what Glove is talking about when he's talking about it's a collaborative. You don't get a song that you love as much as you do, Mike, like an Ice Cream, not only without the team, but without putting people in the proper position to succeed. Ray's energy is always great, so he's always great to start off a song. Meth has the best voice ever, damn near, and it's always great on hooks. It makes sense.
And he can ad-lib very well. He can ad-lib very well, too. Like, big up to my French vanillas.
Ad-libber, always has been. Because he's always great coming into the songs and talking shit. That's how you know he's a great ad-libber.
Parlez-vous, Vancé, Mingamore, Merci, oui, bonbons, and all that good stuff. Like, that's not written down on the page.
No,
that's not him doing that. You know what I mean? And he did that on Woo Wear, too. Well,
Yes.
I love that part on Wu where I was disappointed he didn't spit a whole verse.
No, he's the best part of Wu Wear to me. Part of
He
why I don't
is.
love Wu Wear is because I wish he would have had a verse and like did a third verse on there.
Sellers with a super chat says, I do find it interesting that Dre fans who bring up Biggie's lack of albums don't realize that he has more rap verses on Life After Death than Dre has on Southern Playalistic, ATLians, and Akumina combined. Biggie may have more rap verses than Andre has in his whole career as well. Like, and he's been gone for 28 years now.
It's probably comparable at this point.
Gary Pierce with the super chat says Snoop is the big boy to Dre, 3 stacks.
Well, hold on. Somebody
I
just
can
said
see
something.
that.
Somebody just said, Coop, that should make you put Drake higher. Well, I told Mike behind the scenes that I wanted to put Drake and Eminem in our spin cycle of our criteria today first, based on the conversations I've been having with Glove.
Okay.
Because he's not just trying to get me to understand. I just happen to be the person that's fortunate enough to interview him this go around. But he's saying things musically from somebody that's been in a room. Think about this. It's like, no, he been in the room with Ice-T and Dre and Snoop and the DOC and Nas and AZ and Mailman and Mike Elizondo. And like, you get what I'm saying? No. He been in all those rooms. Like he knows people. Mike, like Mike Lynn. Like, I didn't even know that. The Mike Lynn thing, I'm like, oh, you really know everybody.
It's different when you see the movie get made. You know what I mean? Like, we see the movie. We see the end product. You have a different level of insight.
He was like, the first record I heard from Eminem was Forgot About Dre. I'm like, hold on. I'm like, that's like 3 years after he got signed. He said, see, you looking at it from the perspective of
a consumer, right? Yeah.
Like he pretty much told me, he's like EPMD said, Coop, you're a customer. Yeah. Because you're a customer, this is when you hear this record. I'm telling you, this record 3 years old.
Yeah, we're fans. We don't know. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, very hot take. Someone said No Way Out had similar impact to The Chronic when it comes to making stars and changing hip hop. Well, I will say this: No Way Out is the it's the opening door to the Shiny Suit era. It is the catalyst for the Shiny Suit era. It kind of started somewhat with Life After Death, but not totally. But yeah, the impact of No Way Out is heavy. But I think that the impact of The Chronic was a little bit more long-standing. CJ Kidd,
I think we're talking about like something that like changed a coast and changed hip hop versus something that was like a moment, an era.
Right.
The DMX like crushed like 18 months later.
Yeah. No Way Out changed, what was going on at the time briefly. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, so does Chris the Glove replace Dre in the top 3 producers all time? Just an informative question. No, I think Chris the Glove gives Dre his props and talks about that's why Dre is where he is.
Yeah.
Because of the level of work that he's able to do in his output.
I told you, even from the interviews with Glove, I can see now that it's like, oh, he might be the greatest scouter of talent ever, because it's like, if he got the Glove and he got Mike Elizondo and he got Mailman and Sam Snead and Daz, and he worked with Snoop and Easy and the DOC and even Pac for a brief moment and Nas and Jay. And it's like, I mean, well, damn.
I think Dre has done it the right way as far as like what a traditional producer is supposed to be in music, right? And I think that when you come together in that type of formula and format, you make great product. The only thing is it takes time to develop, that chemistry and develop that team for said artists in a genre where producers who do it by themselves or do it with like 1 or 2 people, they can crank out stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like, but when you're doing it in that way and you're doing it the right way, I don't want to say the right way, but you're doing it the traditional way, it takes time. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why it takes time for Dre to actually crank out efforts in a way where somebody like Kanye could crank out a Daytona in like 7 days or something, or RZA doing, 3 of those albums in 95. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get that kind of output from that part of the process that Dre takes. You know what I mean?
Now, here's what I will tell you is that, you know, it does make me want to get more behind the scenes in terms of, well, who's sitting right there next to the producer, really? Like let's go to RZA right quick. It's like, no, now I really want to know how much like True Master and Fourth Disciple were there. Yeah. Like, who's helping with the mixes, the scratches, the pulling of the samples? Like, no, these things matter.
Yeah. Again, back to the big boy conversation. Like, we need to give people props for their contributions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Esquire with the super chat says, y'all misunderstood my point is Method Man /3000 comparison. The point is, there are more than 25 MCs with comparable skills with much better albums than Method Man. But do they have much better moments than Method Man? And do those comparable MCs have a Bring the Pain or I'll Be There For You? Like,
first of all, there are not 25 MCs with comparable skills. Like, there's not. like no. How about this? If you're saying there's not 25 guys that have a great voice, delivery, have the ability to make a hit top record-making pop charting song and make an underground classic street record and be your hook guy and be your front man and be a lyricist
and out-rap top 10 talent at a drop of a dime in their primes consistently. He's different. You know, unfortunately,
there aren't 10 guys like that. That's why I keep saying, if he were to make one classic rap album, top 10, because there's not 10 guys like him.
He is special. And I know...
people understand, like, he's special. He's not like... He's a top 5 to 10 MC talent, Mike, and he's, like, delivered on almost all of the promise except on a full-length album that you can say, that shit is a classic.
I think that... Especially with the J. Cole.
He sold the records too, Mike. He's a platinum artist many times over.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, he's the reason why Wu-Tang sold to the level that they did as well. Method Man was my favorite rapper growing up, right? And I know I've said this time and time again. And I think when Supreme Clientele dropped, I was like, well, yeah, Ghostface is my guy, right? I kind of jumped ship in that way. Still love Method Man. But I was part of, and maybe that was just more of a media influence at that time. They were very hard on Method Man for the fact that he didn't have the Purple Tape, he didn't have Illmatic, he didn't have Ready to Die. But he was in those conversations anyway. And I think what I'm learning, even doing this show and even us breaking down a lot of these things, he did a lot of intangible things in that era that many of those people didn't do either. Like, he has marks that a lot of people don't have. A lot of people with great albums don't have. And so it's like, do we punish him for that one thing that he didn't do, but he did everything else that other people can't do?
I mean, like, this is what I mean about he can do things that even some of our best can't do. I say this respectfully. Rakim can't make no I'll Be There For You, Mike, and neither can Nas. That's why Method Man's special.
Yeah.
Like, he can do things your favorite rapper cannot do.
And he did it. And that's another part. You know, it's really important to know, too, because we do this with I Need Love with LL. It's important to know that a record like I'll Be There For You, from a hit-making standpoint, didn't really exist before Method Man did it. Like, it wasn't like that was the go-to move to go get an R&B person on your hook, or R&B, or a woman in R&B, especially for a hardcore artist like Method Man and Wu-Tang was concerned. That wasn't something that was supposed to really work, and they did it, and they changed the game with it. I remember seeing as a kid Method Man and Mary just sitting there bobbing their head like on the rooftop. I had never seen anything like that. Because R&B lived in one world and rap lived in another. You know what I mean?
The scenery was blue, Mike. When he pulled over the ledge and he had the clear eyeball. Like, we had never seen even visual aids like that. And this is a love song we're watching.
Exactly.
It was crazy.
Because usually, and I say this with like Beyonce and Jay-Z all the time, usually if a rapper was to do some R&B shit, the rapper would go to the R&B world. This was the first time we really saw the R&B artist come to the rap world, and it worked to this level. You know what I'm saying?
It was grimy, but it
Yeah.
worked.
And you got to get points for that. This ain't no regular song. It hadn't been done.
Mike, to this day, I'm very, very clear on this. Only Tupac or Biggie could have done that song. Those are literally the only two MCs that have ever lived that I feel like could have pulled that record off other than Method Man. That's how special Method Man is.
Yeah, he's special.
He's special.
Gary Pierce with the super chat, with the $20 super chat. Appreciate the love. He said, Queens is in the house. I'm a native New Yorker, so I know the New York / source bias as well. But on the flip side, these lists usually show an anti-masculine hip-hop bias. Recently, the artistry is more effeminate and gets more love from these publications. I can see that too. I mean, it seems like there is a slant on a lot of this stuff. But again, that's why it's important for collectives to put these things together. And that's why it's not just me and Coop putting this stuff together, because if you just have individuals doing it, then a bias is going to slip in. Jay Short with the super chat says, has Andre said anything about all of this? He doesn't say anything about anything, Jay Short. He said, if I'm Big Boy, I'm getting to a boiling point. How long should a man be disrespected and watch his partner stand by?
I mean, like I said, he's been a wonderful friend because he's often spoken in interviews about their personal relationship and how they're still friends and how he still even like plays his music for Dre and asks Dre what he thinks. You know what I mean? Like Dre is still part of like Big Boy's creative process when he's making albums to a degree is kind of what he alluded to in terms of at least like sharing and, hearing what your partner who you came into this game with thinks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, that's what I mean is like, I don't even like, it's beyond the music for me. He's just a stellar friend to him, I think, at this point for, and it's when he handles himself with such class in moments like this, sometimes the best thing to do is to say nothing at all.
Yeah.
And he like does that in a way that comes off not as if he's hiding, but as if he just like has class and love and respect for his brother. So
yeah, definitely. And I think not only, like you said, their friendship and the admiration that they have for each other as artists, but I think Big Boy really respects the work that they put together and the history that they made. And he's thankful and appreciative of the role that Andre's played in changing his life. Now, my only thing is, it feels like it's not the same adoration on the other side, and because really without, like we said before, without Big Boy's work and input and the things that he did in this collective, we don't know Andre 3000 outside of Outkast like that. That's just the reality. And you got to be, like, even with this A2HH Live podcast, like, I appreciate, the ride that we're on together. I mean, I'm not doing this show by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, we both made sacrifices to do this show, take the time out, do the work, and it's it goes both ways. It's not one person doing that. And I think that appreciation should continue on both sides,
Well, thank you for that, Mike. Like, that was very, very nice of you.
No,
I mean, I
truth,
appreciate that.
course.
That's good that you shared that. No, for real. That was good that you shared that, and I appreciate you saying that. But, and I'm going to be frank when I say this, and I'm not being funny. Well, we haven't made enough money or gotten enough notoriety for the system to even what I would call be corruptible.
Yeah.
And so, do not tell me that money does not matter. Because here's the thing. When they financially became totally, totally free, and when I mean free is in like they could hang it up and they were making like lists, like when they were making lists for the millions of dollars that they had accrued like separately in terms of like what their assets truly were when numbers like that started floating out, which is around Stankonia time. Well, isn't it convenient that when financially there wasn't a need to necessarily do it anymore, it kind of stopped being a thing. Don't tell me that money don't matters and that these quote unquote creative people don't don't care about the money just as much, because as soon as financially he could truly hang it up and do whatever he wanted, that's exactly what he did. And this is what I'm saying. So let's juxtapose that to somebody like a Nas. You get what I'm saying? Where the love really come in and how much you really love to do this. And so there's a part of me when we're having this conversation, if it comes off as hate, I don't mean for it to come off as hate, but excuse me if I don't question the love.
Yeah.
You feel me?
I mean,
because it don't seem like you love it, because I see other guys who are more financially secure than you that ain't hanging it up, that should maybe even hang it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even talking about Nas when I say that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like there are other cats out here that financially are even in a better place than you that are still out here because they love it.
Ice Cube ain't got to make music, man.
Ice Cube don't have to do a damn thing.
He
Ice Cube didn't have to make We Be Clubbing.
He did.
He didn't. Yay.
I think this is the thing, too, and when you talk about the love and questioning the love, you know...
I don't want nobody at number 12 on my list that don't love the game, Mike. Like, for real. Like that's that intangible part of it that these rubrics can't measure, where it's like where you do something like that and it's like, well, you're talking about the talent. You're not talking about the love. You're not talking about the quality. You're not talking about the output. You're not talking about so many things that are important to the fundamentals of it. And I get that the fundamentals can't be everything anymore, but they should still count for something. It's like, well, how much does fam love the game? Because as soon as they got into double-digit millions, like, you know what I mean? To the point, how about this? When I saw numbers that look like it's like, oh, you could lose $10, $20 million and be okay. I was like, yeah, dude, I don't hear you rap anymore. It's like, well,
I mean, it goes back to that. I don't remember. I think it was a story around maybe the Love Below time where they said that there was some festival. It was either $400,000 or $500,000 they were going to pay Outkast to perform, right? And Andre declined because he just didn't want to perform. And my thing is, like, you know, at the end of the day, and you know, everybody has a prerogative to do whatever they want to do. You guys, when you were trying to make it, you were performing with this man for free. You know what I'm saying? Like, out there trying to get your voice out, trying to get your music heard, trying to, you know, get your talents out there or whatever. Performed for free. Probably performed for like $20 sometimes. Who knows? But you're telling me that you can't perform that same stuff for $250,000, not just for you, but for your partner who was around the whole ride, who has a family, who has kids and all of that stuff, and you're just like, I don't want to do it. That's wild to me. And you know, it's what it is. People can have their own opinions about it, but I do think it's interesting that we've seen performers who have done this for free when it was time to make it, but when you get to a certain point and there is a payday that seems to be like, you know, just 2 hours or whatever you got to do, now you're uninspired. Now you got stage fright. Now there's all these other factors that didn't play a part when you were trying to make it.
Right. Because I think, and this is what I mean about don't tell me how, like, do not tell me that fame and money do not corrupt even like your artsy artist, because it's like real talk, Mike, when you were saying that, the only thing I was thinking, what happened to the guy that used to go, 1 for the money, yes sir, 2 for the show. A couple of years ago on Headland and the Low was the start of something good. Well, me and my nigga rolled the martyr through the hood, just trying to find that hook up. Now every day we look up at the ceiling, watching ceiling fans go round trying to get that feeling off instrumentals. Had my pencil and plus my paper. We caught the 86 Livonia headed to Decatur, writing rhymes, trying to find that spot off in that light off in that spot. Knowing that we could rock doing hole-in-the-wall clubs, this shit here must stop. What'd he say at the end, Mike?
Like, freeze. We making the crowd move, but we not making no G's. And that's a no-no.
That's a no-no. And then he goes, and that's a no-no. See, money mattered to him, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but see, you know, I think the bigger thing is, though, Coop, and I think this is why fans, you know, can't take it away. When you're doing shows to that magnitude, now it's about giving the music back to the fans. You made it. Like you said, you're there. It's not about you scratching and surviving as an
Right. It's
artist
about the
anymore.
get back.
Now you actually have people on a massive level to really fuck with the work that you've done and the work that you've put in. So now it's time to really give it back to the people and the masses. And when it's time to give it back to the people, or I'm gonna show up whenever I want to show up. You know,
I think I'm good.
Yeah, it's like no,
Yeah,
like Nas ain't got to do this Madison Square Garden show.
It's just convenient. It's like you wait till it's like it's just convenient that it doesn't happen till it's like over. Like when it's not like 5, even 10 million in the bank. It's like when it's that money that you really. It's like the residuals is enough and there's enough stacked up. It's like hold on, pause. It's like no, that's fine if you want to do that, but let's call it what it is too.
When you don't need the fans anymore, now you're not doing it for the fans, you know. And Nas ain't got to do this Madison Square Garden show. This is for the fans.
I mean, I don't even want to give you the plug talk, Mike. This nigga, like, he pays for so many things out of pocket that I never realized. Mike is somebody with a business degree.
Yeah.
I was on his team. I was like, you want me to tell you how I feel or you want me to tell you the business? Because it's two separate things.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he knows, but it's the love, you know?
Like, he microphone fiend.
Yeah. The L Web with the super chat says, Meth is so versatile. Nobody was killing the feature game in the mid-90s like Meth. His verse on Extortion is classic. Yeah. And he's on All Eyes on Me. I think he has one of the best verses on there. And he's on Ready to Die. And he's upstaging one of the greatest lyricists ever in Jizza on Liquid Swords. And he's basically the glue guy outside of Ghost on Only Built for Cuban Links. He's everywhere.
He's got the best hook on a top 5 rap album. He's the star of another top 10 rap album. Here's what I mean about the money. Here's where the money matters too. Is that a lot of people understand, and it took me a while to realize this too. Do you understand how quick Meth became a star and how much money Meth started getting, even opposed to like Nas and Big?
Yeah.
Because of his collaborative ability.
And because of his star power. His star power actually.
Money. Listen. By 1995, he's getting Wu-Tang money, Method Man and Redman money, Method Man money, and feature money. Now, this is what I mean. You have to understand. Well, you know, like, in this time, these rappers are making these albums like they're broke. Like, you think you're getting the Illmatic if Nas got money? You think you getting Ready to Die with literally the songs like Ready to Die, Suicidal Thoughts, Gimme the Loot if niggas got money? You feel what I'm saying? It's coming from a place of hunger, and here's what people have to understand is like more than any of those other guys, the hunger money-wise got removed from Meth first because he was a bigger star even than Big and Nas were because he was making the records and he was attractive and he was checking the boxes for the MCs and the heads. Like, he was the one that was checking all the boxes.
Yeah. I mean, the only people who had bigger star power than him were out west. It was Snoop.
I'm about to say Tupac, Ice Cube.
I would say Snoop and Tupac at that time. We talking about 93. Ice Cube kind of cooled off and was doing movies a little bit.
You're right.
But Snoop, as far as like on the music, it was just Snoop and Pop. The only two people. And honestly, if we keep it all the way 100, I think that him and Pac's star power at 93, that could have went either way.
It's comparable.
Yeah. Now, Snoop was just something else, but...
Yeah, Snoop somewhere else. Snoop's looking down at everybody in 93 and 94.
Yeah. Jay Short with the super chat says...
Good to see you down there.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I hear you guys on the Dre and Big Boy friendship, but sometimes you need your friends to ride for you publicly. I agree 100%. Hey. And what you said, it sounds like very one-sided when it comes to the friendship.
No, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull back the curtain of my life a little bit, Mike. There are people that I love, that I've been friends with for 20 years, but I don't get down with them like that anymore because I've come to realize that in crucial situations, they're not going to speak up like what fam talking about. I was like, they're not going to do that. And because of that, it's like, I'll check up on them a couple times a year. I'll see how they're doing. but I don't be around and condone that shit really anymore. And not like in a negative way or like a fuck you way, but then it's like, well, I don't roll that way with my love. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And really, and that's why I call Big Boy a great friend, because
He's
it
incredible.
appears that the love does not get reciprocated on the level that it should be for it to truly be a valuable, cohesive relationship. But Mike, we're not in the room.
We're not in the room. But I
room.
will say this, Coop. One of the things that left me confused as a fan was when Frank Ocean, he had Pink Matter out there with Andre. And Big Boy just, went in the studio. And, nobody said it was an official remix or whatever, but he just spit some bars to it. It went to the internet. No big deal. The fact that Andre put out a formal statement to say that this isn't an official Outkast remix, I'm like, huh? Why? Why does that even need to be said? Why does that even need to be spoken on? Like, huh?
If I were to forecast anything to you, Mike, and I'm not in the room, but I would tell you something. And this is what I mean. If you're really paying attention to Andre's rhetoric, literally from the moment that Southern Playalistic ends, the rhetoric by him changing. Even go listen to Benz or Beamer. Are you listening to what he's saying on Benz or Beamer?
Mm-hmm.
Too close for comfort, too close for home, too close for you to play in your voice. So, hey, why don't you get your own? As long as I got this legally, people see that we can be on top of things without causing another nigga sorrow. I know it seems that ain't enough to go around, but keep on holding on like Goody Mo, because it's a better day tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. Can't tell the future. Like listen to the things that he's saying. It's like, it's a street record, Mike, but the street talk for him is over after Southern Playalistic.
Yeah, that's all I can say. Honest, can't tell the future. Tomorrow's a different day, but today they just might shoot you for your ride. Fuck your pride.
Fuck your pride. Better be out your seat.
I've always just felt
happy
like
feet before you bleed. And listen, somebody say, ask me if that material shit is worth your life. I don't know about yours, but if so, you're smoking pipes, right? So his message, literally from the moment Southern Playalistic ended, had changed. And I'm not saying this. It just feels like he was just kind of playing the game, Mike, that he felt like he had to play. And maybe artistically, he didn't want to be tied to a lot of that rhetoric. Maybe. But here's what he has to understand. Big Boy's rhetoric is what kept him viable when we wanted to let his flaky ass go. And that's why it don't look right.
Even that's
why it don't feel right. Because if you're listening to him rap, Mike, you can tell that it's like, oh no, that's his brother and he loves his brother, but his rhetoric and his thoughts aren't the same. We're loving it because we're loving the balance, but we don't understand this other guy over here. Maybe he doesn't want to share the rhetoric that this other guy is sharing on this record, but he doesn't understand that there's a whole legion of their fans that the only reason they even listening to the record is because fam has been over here holding you down.
It's like that skit that they have on the Crewmanadas right before Rosa Parks, where they're talking about
some pimps,
niggas,
some aliens,
some genies, you know what I'm saying, like niggas on that black righteous shit and all that. That's about him and his.
That's real.
Yeah,
and that's about Andre.
Yeah,
and that's real too, Mike. That's not imaginary. They made that because that's what niggas in the street was really saying.
I think, in my personal perspective, I feel like Goody Mob and their approach and their messaging and just, the knowledge of somebody like a Cujo, because he's slightly older than them, I think that changed Dre from a messaging standpoint. I mean, you even hear Dre rhyming a little bit like Cujo at the end of Jazzy Bell. Me and no girl in the black on black Latino star.
I think it's a myriad of things. I think it's Goody Mob. I think it's Southern Playalistic being successful and them traveling to different places and seeing different things for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, how often had these guys left Atlanta when Southern Playalistic came out and they were like, what, 19, 20?
Right.
Had they been to New York before? Had they been to California before?
I know Andre said that he used to go up to New York all the time before. I think he was saying this and try to act like he was from New York and, those things. But, Andre also, and I want to say this before I lose this train of thought, he also speaks a lot about, when he heard Q-Tip on Jazz, he knew the kind of rapper he wanted to be. Like, he speaks on terms like the kind of rapper he wanted to be, because he was searching for his style. Said he used to rhyme like Redman, like with the, rah-rah, riggedy wow stuff. But I think when Goody Mob, they seemed to find their pocket very early, right? They found their purpose. They had a group name that was the Good Die Mostly Over Bullshit. I think he saw that and was like, these guys really know who they want to be. And the stuff that, like you said, that we were talking about on Southern Playalistic, that's not who I want to be as a rapper.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But here's what Goody Mob respected that he didn't. That talk is what put them on the map.
Mm-hmm.
He literally says it. This is what I'm saying, Mike. Listen to what he's saying. Like, I never forget this. The world is yelling hootie hoo, but in my pocket, nothing but gum and lint, the sum, the shit. I'm thinking to myself, it's like, oh, you don't like the fact that everybody's saying hootie hoo. Right. He's not saying it in a glowing fashion, Mike. I was a writer at the time. That always bugged me that he said that. You feel the world is yelling hootie hoo. Like, he's literally saying, like, for all the knowledge that we dropped on that album, y'all just screaming hootie hoo. Like, he didn't like that shit.
And it's interesting you say that because I guess I always took Benz or Bima as a song that was on a soundtrack that was patterned after the movie. But you're right. He's actually bringing in... Yeah, he's bringing in some of their real life situations and applying it to some of the characters in the New Jersey Drive
Deep
movie.
in the dungeon for these many months, amongst the dungeon dragon as we pass around them blunts. What'd he say? Had to cut it out like shears, but for years I used to burn them, getting deep off in my thoughts just to get shit off my sternum. Chest.
I never played, but made
many moves. I guess I blame it on the session because I can't remember the dudes. I guess the feeling getting the Benz is out of the question.
Yeah.
Right.
This is self-reflection stuff.
And the money matters.
Yeah.
Are you listening to what he's saying? The world is yelling hootie hoo, but in my pocket, nothing but gum and lint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric Terrell with the super chat says.
Gotta pay attention to what fam's saying, man.
Yeah.
He's been talking this shit, Mike. That's why I'm saying.
It was a build up.
Oh, why Andre do that? It's like, do what? Do what he been doing since 95 on Benzo or Beamer?
Yeah, it's a build up. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, I thought Big Boy was a rich actor MC. What he need? Well, I mean, again, that's love. That's when the love comes in.
That's what I mean. Big Boy loves to make music still. That's why
because let's keep it a buck. I mean, they're a duo. Whatever Andre has for music, Big Boy probably has for music, if not more. So it's about the love of it, you know,
and the features, because you got to think like he's on a lot of the big stuff that Andre is on, but he's on stuff like, I don't know, Missy's All in My Grill.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And back
he's
then,
he's on other Southern classics like, I don't know, In the Wind with Trick Daddy.
Yeah, I mean he's on Slick Rick's Return album. I mean, back then,
Mike, has a highly successful Kimmel business down here.
Oh yeah, and also, you know about his trailer business, right?
Right, Mike, the Airbnb of Written Out the Dungeon.
Yeah. Well, no, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about what he does, because you know they do like a lot of.
No, I know that. I'm just speaking in addition to that. That's what I'm saying. It's just like no. His portfolio is stupid, and he just dropped a rap album about 14 months ago.
Yeah.
He don't need to drop no rap album.
No.
He need to drop a rap album since Stank on You.
Leroy Green with the super chat says 95% of the hate and backlash Jay gets is not about art; it's about money. Had he been underground, he'd have a completely different kind of respect. Would you rather be underpaid or overrated? What he said? CJ Kidd with super chat says
it's the bar after that, Mike. Moral victories are for minor league coaches.
Yeah, I already told you, made you cockroaches. Show me where the boats is.
Ferrari's Testarossa.
This dude is insane.
Ferrari's Testarossa.
Insane. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, can you interview the plug after the glove?
You know, if the plug, that first of all, it's not going to happen because the plug is, actually like literally actually, okay, so the plug actually really works for Nas. And Nas is a whole brand and a whole business, even outside of this music business, like stuff that actually makes him money. Shade. So, probably talking to the plug right now. I don't know, about 3 weeks before a show at Madison Square Garden. Like, that's not happening anytime soon, Mike. I'll ask after the show is like, whenever I see like that he may take a break and she may have a moment to breathe, like I may ask. But I'm already telling you what, because I already know how she rolled. That's going to be coming at like her stipulations.
Yeah.
And she's going to have a list of stuff. I already know. It's going to be like, I'll do it. But if I do it, they got it. Yeah. So You know, as long as we willing to negotiate, you know what I mean?
We'll see what happens. I think it'll be great. JY with the super chat says KRS-One is the polar opposite of Andre 3000.
I don't know if polar opposite is the word, but I'm just saying it's like when people act like he just like drifted into outer space one day, it's like no, he been drifting like he started spinning off the axis about like, you know, a year after after the ship left. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when the ship got in the stratosphere, it's like as a year gone by, it's like oh no, it's going further.
Like you said, I think traveling had a lot to do with that too, because he even says that in the in A Day in the Life of Andre Benjamin. Traveling was even, you know, talked about in that.
Traveling has been the number one thing that has changed my life, Mike. Like the places that I've been have changed my life. Being to the south of France changed my life. Italy, like Colombia, no, it should change my life. Yeah,
traveling.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I get them, but I'm gonna tell you what, Mike, and this is what I mean about like a hunger. When I get off the plane, Mike, it usually makes me double down about the shit that I love and the shit that I want.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, oh, I can see certain things from that. That's what I mean. It's just like, well, where's the love? Because it's like,
is it possible, not to interrupt you and to kind of piggyback on that? Done. Is it possible that being a rapper was just a phase for Dre?
Very much so.
Well, it's just
I love that you pose that question. It definitely feels that way.
Yeah, it's something I did when I was 19 to 25, you know?
Right. When I was a young man, I used to be an MC, and I was pretty good at it.
Yeah. And he moved on and did something. I mean, because he's, if we be perfectly honest, it's been more years that he has not been an MC than it was when he was acting an MC, an active MC.
Now you're saying
we're talking about like a 6-year period.
Now here's what I would tell you. What has he done since he has not been a quote unquote MC that makes him more memorable than the MC that we remember?
Right. Exactly. Nothing.
So how is he going to be remembered at this point if the ball were to drop today?
Right.
As a what?
As an MC, right?
And I think he doesn't like that at all. And I have a problem with that because you haven't done anything to supersede that or to make us, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if it all happened today, we will remember you as an MC. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. That 6-year
we remember
window.
None of that other stuff. We wouldn't remember you sitting outside LAX or wherever it was playing some ukulele or some flute. We wouldn't remember you in like the movie with Mark Wahlberg. No. That's the nigga from Elevators.
Yeah.
And Players Ball.
Yeah.
And Spony Odie Dopalicious.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, I have floor seats for the Nas Madison Square Garden show. I will certainly tap into the following A2HH live stream to share my feedback. Can't wait.
We're trying to work on coming up there. We're working on it.
Yeah, we got to be there. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be fun. I was just talking to 007 about that like yesterday. We're going to work that out.
Yeah. We need to work that out, Mike. We need to be there.
Yeah, definitely. CJ Kidd.
I mean, you know, I told you behind the scenes, like, yeah, we need to be there.
Yeah. CJ Kidd with the super chat says, this is feeling like feeling like the eager you guys. What is this? Is it eager? The anger you guys had for Black Star. Sounds like the anger that you guys had for Black Star. Funny if Big Boy responds to you guys without mentioning your names and you guys respond. I love Big Boy. There's nothing to really respond for. Like, I would love to. I mean, I admire Big Boy and the Outkast brand. I'm just speaking my mind as a fan, as somebody who saw the whole thing and is still seeing the whole thing develop. And I think it's very disheartening for somebody who was here the whole time to see how, in retrospect, people view Outkast's legacy. And I do feel like him being left off a list like this and Andre being at a number 12 is a reflection of how people view the Outkast legacy. How can I not feel that way? And like somebody mentioned before, The Way You Move was a #1 song on Billboard. Bun B doesn't have a #1 song on Billboard, respectfully. You know what I mean? But to leave this man out, it's like, what?
I mean, respectfully, do you know how many rap artists never made a #1 Billboard song that just made their list?
Yeah.
Because most of these guys that just made their list, and the women, don't have a #1 Billboard song.
Yeah.
Not a rap song.
Exactly.
Lil' Kim ever made a #1 Billboard rap song?
Yeah. Who you said?
Hold on, real talk. Real talk. Has Jay ever made a #1 Billboard rap song?
I think New York State of Mind was his first. Empire State of Mind, excuse me.
Empire State of Mind's his first? Okay. That's what I'm saying. Think about how long that is in his career. When's that?
And that's Jay. You know what I'm saying? And this is somebody who is super accomplished. So it's not an easy thing to do. You know what? Speaking of which, is Nelly on their list? No?
I feel like he might have been in the 30s somewhere.
I don't think he was.
I'll check on that.
I don't think he was. Because I feel like it's kind of problematic for, certain people who aren't known for being that lyrical, but known for hits, to be very high. And somebody who is such a hit maker like himself, and a Billboard, chart topper, to not be mentioned at all? I don't know. Jay Short with the super chat says...
I feel like he made the list, Mike, but let me check and see.
Okay. Jay Short with the super chat says, Jay gets backlash because his politics and social opinions don't match his business practices. If you're going to be an unapologetic capitalist, be that. Doesn't hurt his musical legacy, just imagine. I feel the opposite, though, Jay Short. I feel like Jay is unapologetically a capitalist. I mean, I think he says it in the music, too. I don't think that there's any confusion with where Jay stands.
He's literally been bragging about it from day one almost.
I think the only time that he kind of became something different was 444. Like, I remember hearing him in that interview with, I think it was the New York Times, when he was like, money isn't everything. And I was like, what, Jay? That's your whole thing. Who are you?
Who are we talking to? Where is he? What did you do with him?
Like, Jay, I never thought I would see the day where Jay-Z would tell me money isn't everything. What? Okay.
Hey, Mike, I think you're making a very solid point. Nelly's not on this list.
How's Nelly not on a Billboard list?
I don't know. So
I don't like that.
You want to know it?
And see, again, and I love Nelly and I love Missy.
Hold on, this is what I mean. Yeah. So I want you to understand how this machine works too now. Now, although we're talking to the Glove, Glove is tied to Dre in his camp, and that's Interscope, Mike. Okay? Interscope. You understand what I'm saying? So understand that Eminem is on this list. Kendrick is on this list. 50's on this list. Dre's on this list. You get what I'm saying? There are a lot of Interscope artists on this list. Okay? Are you hearing what I'm saying?
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying about how business go?
So I guess
So when you're talking about Nelly coming from out of nowhere?
And not having a cosign.
So let's also go to somebody else right quick while we're thinking about it.
Because Snoop's going to be in the top 10 too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Snoop. I'm sorry. The biggest one. Rap's first real superstar.
The biggest.
So think about what we're saying. So Interscope has Dre, right? So Dre clocks in it. Let's go through the Interscope artists right quick.
Dre's at 40. Eminem, Tupac, and Snoop are going to be in the top 10.
Hold on. Think about what you just said.
Yeah.
All right. Now.
And Kendrick, too. Excuse me. So that's 4. I say Eminem, Snoop, Kendrick, and Tupac are going to be in the top 10. That's 40% of the top 10 right there.
Okay. And then after that, you got 50 in the top 20. So 5 of your top 20 are Interscope artists. Mm-hmm. And Dre is on this list as well, right? Mm-hmm. So that's 6. And I'm pretty certain we're probably missing an Interscope artist somewhere, Mike. That's why I'm about to go through the 50 right quick.
DFW Herbie with the super chat says, Jay had the nerve to say that calling him a capitalist is akin to calling him the N-word with the strong ER. I remember him saying that. Come on, Jay. It is what it is. It's fine. I don't know if that's how he said it. Maybe he was saying that's what people who want to call him the N-word call him. Maybe that's what he was saying. Maybe that's what he was saying.
I highly doubt that. Who distributes Future?
Future is Epic, I believe, still.
Busta Rhymes is on this list. That's Interscope.
Yeah.
That's 7. So listen,
But Busta Rhymes has kind of been all over the place. He's a little different.
No, he's been signed to Interscope mostly, Mike, for the better part of the 2000s.
Yeah,
He ain't been. He left Elektra a long time ago, Mike. Stop that.
he did. He did. He was at Elektra, then he went to J Records in 2001 to what he came to Interscope in like '05, '04.
Early 2000s, yes.
Actually, it's probably like '03 because he was on that Hail Mary thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was early 2000s.
Yeah.
What's Missy? Missy's Jive, right?
I thought Missy's still Elektra. She
Right. Ice Cube, any Interscope ties?
Nah, he's Priority.
Priority.
It's crazy.
Okay.
I know this stuff off the top of my head.
No,
Leroy
I know
Green
you
with
do,
the
Mike.
super chat says, to act like Jay is merely a capitalist is a mischaracterization. Because aside from the money, what's the context of most of his rhymes? Struggle before success. Well, Leroy, why is it wrong to be a capitalist? That's okay. I don't think that's a mischaracterization. I think that anybody who makes it to the $1 billion mark has to be a capitalist because you're thinking about money. It is what it is. It's
This
fine.
country is built on capitalism and capitalistic thinking, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So how can you live in America and become a viable entity and not be a capitalist to a degree?
I mean, he wouldn't be at the level of success he is if he wasn't a capitalist.
Yes. I mean, most
that's
of these
like
guys are
saying
capitalists.
somebody
Like, how about this? I'm gonna make all you little like rap nerds, like real rap nerds, like unhappy today. Somebody like Lupe is a capitalist too. It's not just Jay. That's why I keep on bringing up Andre and the things Andre are saying and saying, no, this is a money game even for somebody like Andre, Mike.
Yeah.
How is he talking on Benz or a Beamer? In my pocket, nothing but gum and lint. Some the shit. Up, I'm broke, nothing but hope. So big boy, tell him what you toting. You see how he set Big Boy up to talk the gangster talk too? That's what I'm saying. You people, what's going on?
Yeah.
He's not gonna talk gangster, but he said Big Boy. So Big Boy, tell him what you toting.
To say that a billionaire isn't a capitalist is like saying somebody who averages 30 points a game isn't a scorer.
Isn't a scorer, right?
I mean,
it's like, no, you scored a ball. Look like you put the ball.
What are you talking about? And I'm not
What are you
saying
doing?
it. I'm not
What are you
saying it in a
doing?
negative way. We need capitalists in our industry.
No, that's
if
why I be
if hip hop didn't have Russell Simmons with the mindset that he had, we wouldn't be where we are. So
This is what I'm saying.
capitalists are
Even when
healthy.
people no, this is why when people like, well, Lamar Jackson's not a passer, it's like, no. He's a passer. He just runs better than he passes. He threw for 36 touchdowns and led this league in passing before.
Yeah.
So he can pass.
Right.
His legs just happen to be better. Be like his legs are better than his arm. That don't mean he don't have the arm.
I'm rooting for not Lamar Jackson.
You don't throw 36 touchdown passes in the NFL
Yeah.
unless you can throw. Do you know how hard it is to throw over 35 touchdown passes no matter what era you play in?
I'm rooting for Lamar Jackson, but in this Super Bowl, I'm
You need to
rooting for
pay
Philly.
that man.
I'm rooting for Philly.
Need to pay that man.
Yeah.
Yeah, pay that man his money. This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. DFW Herbie with the super chat says, we're going to gloss over Jay being the face of BK gentrification with Barclays. My aunt was forced out of her crib because of that deal. I've seen a documentary on that. That's very legit. DFW Herbie lived it. Hope your aunt was, I hate to hear those situations, but that's real. And, and I know that a lot of our fandom, when it comes to entertainers specifically, because we like somebody's music, we felt their story, their music got us through times, we don't want to acknowledge those things, but that's real, and that's a real concern. And if you're not a capitalist for doing something like that, I don't know what a capitalist is. And again, it's not to say that he's a bad person because he's a capitalist, though. It's just, we're just looking at all the facts here. Antonio with the super chat says, my Billboard top 10 prediction: Nicki, Wayne, Drake, Kendrick, Eminem, Snoop, Jay, Biggie, Pop, Nas. It won't be in that order. It'll be disrespectful. You know what? I think we all have concluded it's going to be that. This is what I'm going to predict here. I'm going to say they're going to put Nicki at 10.
Yep.
Then I'm going to say they're going to put Nas at 9.
Yep. I agree.
Then I think that, you know what? Nah, I think they're going to put Snoop at 9.
Nope.
You think they're going
No
to? Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're going to put Snoop at 9. I'm going to say Nas at 8.
Nope.
Okay.
I think they're going to put Nicki at 10. They're going to put Nas at 9. They're going to put Wayne at 8. They're gonna put Kendrick at 7. They're gonna put Snoop at 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's gonna be Biggie. Where are we at? That's 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think you know how the rest of it goes.
Well, this is what I have predicted, and I didn't want to
It's gonna
say.
be Drake, M, Pac, and Jay at the top.
Think Jay gonna be at the top?
I think that Pac's gonna be number 1. Jay's gonna be number 2.
I agree with that.
M's gonna be number 3. Drake's gonna be number 4. Big's gonna be number 5. Snoop's gonna be number 6. That 5 and that 6 might flip, depending on how they feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's gonna go Kendrick, Wayne, Nas, Nicki. Because Nas is making their top 10 to give them the lyricist credibility that they need inside of this list. Because all of those other guys are the type of hit makers that he is not, because that's never been his focus per se.
I agree with you on number 1, 2, and 3. I got them having Pac at 1, Jay at 2, M at 3. I think, because, we're going to get to this Grammy thing too. I know we're almost 2 hours in. I think Kendrick's going to clean up at the Grammys. And I think after Grammy Sunday, this list coming on, what's that, Wednesday? I think they're going to have Kendrick at number 4. And I think that they're going to go Drake 5. And I think they want to put Drake and Wayne together. I think they're going to go Wayne 6, Biggie 7. Yeah, then Nas, Snoop, Nicki.
Now how this list should really go, based on the people who are left, based on what I think their metric is, I think that you would have Eminem at number 1, but they know they can't do that. And that's why Pac and Jay are there to soften the blow of putting him at 3.
I think you and I are on the same page when it comes to that. And I think Pac is the safest
Pac
number
is
1.
No. When you're saying safest, I think that's where we disagree, or maybe just have a different view of it, because I think he's most deserving based on how they're rating things.
Of course. I'm not saying he's not.
Okay.
I'm saying
based on what I
safest
think
for
how they're
them, for
rating
their
things,
credibility.
he's the most deserving of the number 1 spot.
Of course. And I think for their credibility on a list like this, it's safe for them to have somebody that deserving and that popular at that number 1 spot.
Yeah, he that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Jay being number 2 will help soften the blow for M being 3. Because if they put M over Jay,
correct.
I mean, there's been a lot of discrepancies anyway, but that's going to be blaring for people.
But after that, it's going to Drake after M is what I'm trying to tell you.
I said that too. I got Kendrick. No, I got Kendrick at 4. I'm going on a limb and going to say they're going to put Kendrick at 4.
I mean, I just think the fact even that they have Kendrick never mind.
Yeah, we don't want to get on that tangent today. You with Kendrick is like me with Eminem now. And
here's the thing about it, Michael. Can we have this conversation? Fan. This is what I mean about the whole Eminem thing. It's like, well, he's a technical rhymer. Well, so is Kendrick. So is Rakim and Black Thought. Now, I get Rakim and Black Thought evoke a different type of soul out of their music. But for Kendrick to be lauded in this platform called hip-hop, the way that he is, and then to be dismissive of Eminem, and I'm like, well, show me the difference outside of the quality of the albums, because I don't see it. And that's what I've been saying to you. It's like, well, how about this? Eminem doesn't have the soul, maybe necessarily, to make an element or a feel.
Hello?
That don't belong to us. Can you see me?
Yeah, you paused for a second.
Okay. He makes records for a demographic that don't belong to us, where it resonates on the level that an element or a feel resonate for you. And that's kind of what I'm speaking. And that's what I'm speaking to. And it's like, so when we have Kendrick so high, And Mike, I mean, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna tread when I say this. It's like, well, you're gonna have to show me the 3 albums that Cole got this better than M's 3 best albums. You feel me? Like, you have to like just flat out show them to me. Because it's like when you say that, it's like, this is what I mean. Is like, well, how many guys have made 3 really, really dope rap albums that's on this list? Because it's not a lot.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And you know, this is me talking.
So these are just some of the questions that I'm asking, because it's like, I know you have some issues, and I'm not trying to circumvent your issues, but I'm just saying, are you seeing this other stuff? And here's what I mean, even when I was talking about impact, Mike, Shade 45. Like, think about what Shade 45 means, and like how responsible it is for promoting Black artists in this culture. Like, how many other MCs that are comparable to M's platform don't have a network that like lets people get up on there and get their rocks off as Black men, as artists? That's what I mean when I was talking about the impact not just being necessarily measured on the quality of music, because it's like, well, he took his notoriety, his platform, and he started Shade 45, and it's mostly niggas on there getting their rocks off.
8 Mile.
Ain't no white dudes on there getting their rocks off on Shade 45, Mike.
8 Mile is extremely important because it changed the course of his image to allow something like that to even happen. What I will say,
that's
man,
what I mean. But he has it. How about this? Not being funny. I know, you know, a lot of people in our culture feel a certain type of way about Elvis, but I really think it's because people feel like Elvis took for our culture and donated to his culture and donated to his lifestyle and really didn't give back. Eminem has a lot of give back for what he took, and technically he checks the same boxes as Kendrick's, even though the album level making isn't the same. But here's what I'm saying. Even when we put him next to somebody like a Method Man, Mike, it's like, well, he's going to beat Method Man on some categories. Like you think his impact is greater than Method Man's? Because I would have to tell you yes overall. Unfortunately. Is his album catalog better? Well, I'd have to tell you yes overall. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why I want to put him in the rubric, because it's like, actually, if you start measuring him up in the stuff that he's actually done, I'm not saying that you're wrong for how you feel. I'm saying based on a rubric that we created, he checks even a lot of our boxes. And we can't keep on letting people like Kendrick and Black Thought be these technical Black MCs and not let the white boy be the technical MC either, even if we consider it to be gibberish to us. Now, is it authenticated in hip hop in a way that resonates with me and my soul? No, it is not. You know what I'm saying? And so the stuff that you don't feel, no, I get you, because I don't feel it either. But when I'm looking at the resume, Mike, it just be like,
the resume.
It's like, no, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Maybe he does deserve to be ahead of some of these guys. And I feel the same way about Drake. And that's why it's like, well, let's put them in and let's see how they, because I feel like I created a hip hop rubric. And it's like, well, let's see how they do in the hip hop rubric, because I still think they might make the top 25 even in our rubric.
You know, and this is me talking. I don't think J. Cole has a better album than the Eminem Show. I don't.
That's what I'm saying, Mike.
I don't. Dame with the super chat says,
Like, I don't think Forest Hills is better than the Eminem Show, Mike.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Cole's 15 on this list, right? So when Eminem makes like 5 or 4 or 3 on this list, it's like, well, if you got Cole at 15 and you got him at 3, it's like, well, yeah.
Well, he shouldn't be at 15 either, but
no.
Dame 252,
and M shouldn't be at 3, but it might be a little bit more contribution than maybe we're realizing sometimes.
I got you. Dame 252 with the super chat says, Jay did say, I can't help the poor if I'm one of them. So I get rich and gave back to me. That's a win-win. Yeah, that's what Jay said. Oh, Jay Short with the $50 super chat. Appreciate the love, Jay Short. We're going to spend some time and respect your money on this one. He said, remember the title photo with no Black employees, or explaining for the NFL so that he can produce
Okay, so
hold on. Let me finish his $50 super chat. Let me let him do the whole thing. Says, or explaining for the NFL so that he can produce a halftime show, or dissing R. Kelly after he made 2 albums with him. Just don't sell these chess moves for Black people when you're just making J moves.
That's what I mean. So how about this? Something like, hold on. I want to see Jay Short super chat because I want to make sure we cover it properly, since he dropping the 50 piece on us. Since he dropping $1,000 on us, Mike.
Yeah. Appreciate the
So
love.
This is what I'm talking. I didn't want to specifically call out Jay because too often this thing gets tagged as a Nas channel and not a hip hop channel. But when I'm talking about M's contribution and his impact and it being relative to some people who are in the same sphere of his, well, that's exactly who I'm referencing, actually, because that's what I'm saying is it's like, now, has Tidal helped more white people behind the scenes or black people? Because I know Shade 45 has helped more black people behind the scenes and on the front of the scenes artist-wise than anything Jay's been involved in. You feel what I'm saying? So who's really for our culture? So it's like we have somebody who's looked at oftentimes in our culture as possibly a vulture because of how he moves. But what you will find when you pull the curtain back, and this is stuff, quite frankly, that the plug has been telling me and sharing with me, and when she shared it with me, it was a couple weeks ago, and I've been going and verifying it, Mike, and he helps in this hip-hop community more than our quote-unquote black leaders do. And that's why it's like, well, I was looking around trying to find an artist of his stature that we call black that does something like Shade 45, Mike. Guess what? That like really promotes artists, music, hip-hop. Not one of them, Mike. Not one. It's just him. I'm looking. Hey, Mike, how 50 living and how Beans living? You feel what I'm saying? No. Who's really taking care of who, Mike? You feel what I'm saying? Because
this is what I'm going to say about
One black man is pulling up and he's like, oh, well, I'm from the culture. It's like, how your man's doing though?
Hold on.
How your man's doing?
Cool,
Mike, I want you to answer my question. How Beans living?
I'm trying to answer your question. I don't think that's a fair comparison.
It's very fair.
No, let me finish. 50's
very fair.
No, 50's 50.
Def Jam Interscope.
Cool.
Fair.
Can I finish?
I'm sorry. It's just like,
No, the fairest comparison there would be 50 and Kanye. Both of those guys are very self-sufficient.
He didn't want Kanye. He lucked into Kanye. M went and got 50. I think
50. If you want to compare...
He called 50, put 50 on the plane, Mike. It's not the same.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just talking about the self-sufficiency of the individuals in question. 50's one of those guys, he gonna be all right. I think if you want to compare artist to artist, and you want to say Beans, I would rather you do an Obi Trice or something like that.
No, that's not fair. No, 50 was not okay, Mike. 50 from Southside Jamaica, Queens. 50 grew up around Onyx. 50 fucking used to be plugged to Nas and Jungle, like at Nas's prime multi-platinum run, and it still didn't happen for him till M came and got him.
I agree, no, and that's why he's,
But when you say he's self-sufficient, it's like, is he self-sufficient in a way that Beans isn't? It's like, no. But what I'm saying is that you have this guy that's at the top of his profession, and this guy is looked at as your right-hand man. Now look at what happened to this right-hand man and look at what happened to that right-hand man and tell me who's here for our culture.
They're not built the same.
Impacting our culture the right way. Because how about this? The reason that 50 is 17 on this list is because he got taken care of in a way by M that Jay never took care of Beans. Because Beans, we all talk about this, Mike. Tell me why Beans ain't top 20 on this list. Because you're the one that makes me realize every time why he's not top 20 on this list. Because he was signed to who? And who is what? And how's he do?
Yeah.
And so when we have somebody like him that doesn't do those things, that operates on the same level, how can we downgrade him?
I'm not downgrading that. I'm just saying that, we have to give 50 his props too as an individual. Like,
no, 50 may get rich or die trying, and he made 50 Cent is the future, and guess who's back? And like, no, I'm not taking none of 50. 50 works out. Like, I just mean this like in all sincerity.
I just don't think that comparing 50 to Beans is a fair comparison.
I'm comparing having an artist at the top of their game who is a gate attraction and a money maker, and how he really contributes to the culture behind the scenes. What I'm saying is a lot of M's impact that I'm starting to find out is behind the scenes. He's not in front of the camera talking the shit that these other guys are talking. He's actually doing it and living it out. And you can see the fruit of his labor from the work, where a lot of these guys, it's like, well, you can see how they fucked people over, Mike. And so it's like, that does matter too, is all I'm saying. And I don't think some of the aspects of his positive contributions have been taken into account. And I'm not just talking about by us. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about you and me when I'm saying that. I mean, as a whole, We do not talk about these things. Does anybody pull up and do articles about Eminem and Shade 45 and how many artists it's put on and what the platform really means and how many spinoffs has come from it and how many artists go platinum because of it and how many streams get generated because of it and how much of a machine it is in this environment? Do we ever say any of these positive things? Because we have to be fair. And so when people say that we're biased, if it's because we're not mentioning these things, I'm mentioning these things now so that we can be looked at fairly.
I understand.
Not to give him an unnecessary nod. I'm not giving him an unnecessary nod. I'm saying it's like, no, he does shit that a lot of our black rappers that are stars that claim to be for our culture don't fucking do.
I understand what you're saying. I'm glad you're bringing up this perspective because, it feels a lot one-sided whenever we do bring Eminem up. My thing would be, how active do you think he is in the Shade 45 process?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Or do you think that, because it feels like, and just from my perspective, and I don't know the inner workings or whatever, it feels like this is more of a business proposition put on him as opposed to something that he jump started. You know what I mean? This feels like more of a Paul Rosenberg thing. And okay, so, you know what I mean?
No, and you might be right, but this is what I'm saying. Like, he's doing what he's supposed to do as a white man who has impacted this culture because he has been looked at and placed in a certain box and at a certain skill level in a certain way. He's doing all of the things to make sure that he's not a vulture, Mike, and that does need to be addressed because we have too many people step into our culture that not do contribute back to it. So what I'm saying is, even if the contribution is planned, Mike, well, how about this?
The contribution.
Hold on. I know every time before I go to church that I'm about to pay some tithes when I go in there, but I still pay them. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's the thing that I feel like that I should do to contribute to the church. So he's doing the things that he feels like he should be doing to contribute because of his position. And so that means he's aware to a degree, and so he might be in a delegation role, and it might be like in name and brand only at this point.
Yeah.
But at some point, it came from a place of a brain trust with him and Dre and Iveen and Paul and everything, and probably of like, hey, this is what you're gonna need to do, so that it don't go down like Elvis.
And I only say, of course, and I only say
the
that
music
because,
business, so that's good business.
Because you look at the involvement that LL Cool J has with Rock the Bells, and I love what LL's doing with Rock the Bells. And he's the perfect person to do it, to give those foundation of hip hop, individuals who made such a mark, give them a platform to be able to be celebrated on a large level. And I can tell this ain't something that somebody put on LL. Like, LL's active.
This is what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and so I guess, and I'm not saying this to denigrate or downgrade the Shade 45 contribution, because a contribution is a contribution, but it just doesn't feel like, his involvement is at a level of somebody like, what, L's doing with Rock the Bell.
See, this is what I'm saying, though, and this is how we have to look at it. You're absolutely right when you say that, Mike, but he can never be LL. He's not one of the originators. He's not from Queens. He's not from a core borough. LL's going to provide a feeling that he could never provide to us in our community when LL does something like Rock the Bells Radio. But what I'm telling you is that behind the scenes, maybe not musically all the time since the first 3 albums, and maybe not lyrically in terms of how we connect to the message, but behind the scenes, this man has done everything possible to make sure that he gets held in the right as somebody that helped this culture.
I agree.
Not tore it down and glorified it. And I just want to speak about that part of it fairly, because when we're talking about impact and when we talk about it at hip hop being 50 years old now, that's what.
His impact is an interesting conversation, and we'll get into that. Let me get to these super chats real quick. Jadarian with the super chat says, the fundamental aspect of capitalism is exploitation, so let's be careful with calling it healthy. Okay. I think that's fair.
No. See, this is what I'm saying. You can't sit up here and live in America.
Definition. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can't sit up here in America and sit up here and act like that everybody's not getting over on everybody in some sort of way. It's literally how the cycle works. It's built up like a stepping stone because the Because once again, the system, Mike, the system is unjust and racist and systemically broken and always has been. I didn't say capitalism was right. I didn't say capitalism was fair. I said it was American.
Well, here's the definition
Get
of
what I'm saying?
Here's the definition of a capitalist. A wealthy person who uses money to invest in trade and industries for profit in accordance with the principles of capitalism. Now, what are the principles of capitalism? Capitalism is defined as an economic or political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit. I don't see any of the stuff that maybe those connotations are additives that people add on based on who they label capitalists, but I didn't see anything in there about, taking advantage.
Like, this is what I mean. Like Ice Cube is a capitalist.
Listen, I mean, and let's listen to the lyrics, right? Like, Jay will go out there and tell you, I was born to get cake. Move on to switch. Like, never follow orders, dick face. What line am I looking for? It's I would not lose. Think that mentality, like by any means necessary type thing. It's what it is, and
not to be too not to be too historical, Mike, but very much the ethos of a lot of our MCs and artists today is very, very comparable, and frighteningly so, because he's an oppressor of Theodore Roosevelt and the progressive movement, which is essentially saying, until my death, my goal is to stay alive. Survival of the fit, only the strong survive. That's what the progressive movement is saying. Saying the same thing Prodigy is saying on survival of the fittest. Mm-hmm. Until my death, my goal is to stay alive. Survival of the fit, only the strong survive.
Yeah. LP with the super chat says, dumb down my flow to double my dollars. Capitalist. I think that's fair, I mean. And was he wrong to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we always use those lines and him speaking his truth in that. But was Jay wrong to simplify his flow a little bit so that he could, profit? Because what we have to understand, right? Jay's not just some regular artist walking in the door. Him and his two partners, they have a business to run. You know what I'm saying? And so in a business, you have to, and they're in the record business, they were in the business to sell records. So if he had to simplify his flow down a little bit so that his company could flourish, not just him as an inspired artist or whatever, he did what was best for the company. And obviously, based on the results, he did the right thing, right? So would y'all rather him just go out there and continuously put out gold records and Rockefeller go under and not be able to provide opportunities for anybody?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, ain't no Big Pimpin' video going gold after gold. Big Pimpin' video?
I'm just saying.
You're not going to shoot in Miami and then shoot out of the country and then be on your own boat going gold?
I mean, he had to double his dollars. He had a business to run.
Listen, Reasonable Doubt went gold.
Yeah.
Volume 1 went platinum. The next album sold 5 million records. Mike, as much as I hate to admit it, my ass wouldn't be rapping the same anymore either. And anybody else that tells you that they would, liar.
Well, Coop, the thing is, too, you have two other partners in this
4
business.
4 million more records.
Yeah, you have
how much more money that is for the team to eat?
I mean, not even just for the team to eat, it's just to run a successful business. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I mean.
You got business
how much more
partners.
Influx of business and residuals and everything that brings in when you literally sold 1.5 million on 2 albums and then you do 3.5 million more in one shot. Do you know the opportunities business?
And now you could do a Hard Knock Life tour, whereas you couldn't do that before you having to open up for other big acts. You know what I'm saying? And so this puts the business on a whole different
tour in 1997.
Yeah, this puts the business on a whole nother plateau. So, I mean, it is what it is. He has a business to run. Yeah, he's not just a regular artist coming in the door like that. John Wayne with the super chat says
music business.
Yeah, it is. John Wayne with the super chat says, "Come on, Nas tried in the commercial thing and he failed." I think that it just wasn't him per se. But I mean, I think that if you want to say he tried the commercial thing, that was what it was written. I think that no one would say that it was written was a failure commercially.
Selling 2-3 million records,
Yeah,
like, it's not like failing.
that's
See, this is what I mean about how people. Okay, so you have to understand. See, in the hood, where niggas don't have money, Illmatic is a success. In the music business, Illmatic is a failure.
yeah.
And it was written as a resounding success and great comeback that saved his career from a music business aspect.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Like, you are not about to sell 300, 400,000 records again. That is not about the work. You're going to be back in the bridge.
I'm glad you mentioned it in that context, Coop, because you're right. When you're talking about actually selling music, I think that us as fans, we look at things that we love and that we're drawn close to, and we don't look at the numbers. But the harsh reality is
a damn thing.
The harsh reality in the music industry, and especially in the 90s with hip hop, where it hadn't been proven that a bunch of people could sell a lot of records, you have to actually sell records to make yourself valuable. Just putting out a critically acclaimed album or album that a magazine gave 5 mics is not enough to bring in the money that a company needs to sustain. So when you look at the fact that Jay-Z goes in the game with him and his 2 business partners as a record company, and they're in the business of selling records, for him to say, I gotta simplify my flow down a little bit, people might not get who want to bet us that we don't touch leather, stack cheddars forever, live treacherous all year, etc. If he has to simplify that down a little bit so that his company can have a 5 million seller and actually get their company to the next level, I'm not going to sit here and say him doing that is something wrong. Like, he still gave us a quality album, too, on top of that.
So this is what people have to understand. I'm about to tell you something very, very real, and here's how you need to look at it. And this is what I mean about how I've had to understand from talking to the Glove. No, it's called the music business. So let's go to 1994. You're Nas. You literally just made what is considered to be hip-hop's, Sistine Chapel, or Michelangelo's David. But unlike the Sistine Chapel or Michelangelo's David, Mike, there are not literally lines of people draped around for hours to see it. Okay? So you might have made hip-hop's finest piece of work that they've ever heard. But you know what happened while you made hip-hop's finest piece of work? Snoop sold 4 million records that year to cap off a nice little 5 million for Doggy Style, okay? People forget that Tupac made Strictly for My Niggas in 1993. If I'm not mistaken, that album was double platinum, okay? Wu-Tang Clan went platinum on Enter the Wu-Tang. Outkast went platinum with Southern Playalistic. The Brat went platinum with Funk Defy. Biggie sold 1.5 with Ready to Die. Now, what the fuck makes you think that somebody who's coming from the projects without any money wants to make an album just so he can walk around the projects forever as a legend?
Well, not even just him.
Hold on, Mike. This is not to add up the fact that I believe like Kill It Will is like 93. Ice Cube still going like double platinum off EPs. You feel what I'm saying? Murder Was the Case is doing stupid numbers.
But again, we're still looking from an artist's vantage point. So when he walks in,
Purple Tape outsold Illmatic, Mike.
When he walks,
Infamous outsold Illmatic.
I hear you.
Not making that shit again either.
No, but again, still looking from an artist's standpoint. When him and his team walk in Columbia Records, and Columbia, who has a staff to feed and all that based off of the industry of selling records, sees what all of these other artists are doing and sees what this album that they put money behind is doing, they're not looking at this as a success. Now, I'm pretty sure that they had people in there with foresight that was like, you know what, we understand next time we can make some adjustments because this person made an album that actually, gave him a great foundation as an upcoming artist,
people have talked behind the scenes that after Illmatic, Mike, people have talked behind the scenes that the goal for Nas after Illmatic was to make the visual aids match the MC. Like the stuff that he was putting down, it's like, no. We got to make everything else match up because we just apparently missed the boat.
Of course, of course. But again, I think they know that. I will say this: the fact that it was well received went a long way for them actually investing heavy the second time around. But in no way were they saying that numerically that effort was a quote unquote success.
But this is what people don't understand is that if he doesn't make It Was Written, we don't know what happens next. He can't make Illmatic again.
No.
That's what I'm saying. This is the music business. So when people are like, oh, I don't want to hear Street Dreams or If I Rule the World, it's like, oh, we should have bought 2 million copies of Illmatic or he wouldn't have had to make those records. Next.
Well, he needed the radio. John Wayne with the super chat says, people always ignore how Dame tried to F Beyonce when they mentioned Rockefeller dissolving. Dame is foul. Jay was ready to give them Rockefeller too for Reasonable Doubt. I don't know any of that stuff. I don't know any of that stuff.
Staying off of that. I'm not touching that.
I have no idea. I mean, if you were there and you know that, more power to you. I don't know nothing about that. Let's see. Mad Max with the super chat. Mad Max chiming in. He said, M Shade 45 is what is this? Is a mechanism used for us to look at M as good, with the help of blacks like with the help of blacks like some Christ figure. It's marketing. Don't be fooled. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, not an M fan, but the shouts out Pharoah Monch. But he shouts out Pharoah Monch, Tretch, Redman, Run DMC, and other artists all the time that came before him. The man reps for hip hop culture. He does do that, but I feel like, again, and I always talk about this 8 Mile transition because I feel like everything before 8 Mile is kind of like it's a Slim Shady M. Everything after 8 Mile is kind of the Eminem we see today. I don't really remember him doing those things when he was on TRL and, I mean, I'm sure it was there or whatever.
See, so let's go to somebody like Eminem right quick, Mike. All that underground stuff that he's heralded for. And this is what I mean where I realize Illmatic's a game changer in 2 ways. You want to know why you don't get a rap album like Illmatic after Illmatic? Because niggas understood that if they wanted to remain viable, they couldn't make a product that was so pure that it risked getting missed by the masses. Illmatic is almost so uncut and for hip-hop that it misses and doesn't broaden the horizons enough. Like, it doesn't have the buy-in of, like, the Juicy Fruit sample or the Between the Sheets sample. No. The buy-in matters because as much as somebody, think about this, as much as somebody like your dad was vilified and was like, oh my God, what are they doing to that record? There were people like my aunt Sonia, who's kind of like what I would like to call a progressive old school music lover, that when Big Papa come on, she was like, oh, they flipping the Isleys. That was my jam. What are you talking about? So they got a lot of people like your dad turned off, but they got a lot of people like my aunt turned on. Illmatic don't have that. You get what I'm saying? So somebody like M that's on that underground, like rapidy rap shit that's maybe more Illmatic-like, more There Is a Dark Side like, when you're like, well, why didn't he do that? It's like, no, that's the music business. Like the Glove talking about where it's like, oh no, that ain't about to play. Glove came out the gate selling 4 million records. Dre been going platinum, double platinum since 89. They not in this shit to sell 500,000 records.
No, definitely. Leroy Green says, so Jay hasn't helped no black people? Really? I don't think that's what... Can never say that, man. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, in addition, M consistently rap with real MCs, gets in ciphers, and tries to represent, even if his material is not the most relatable or hip-hop.
So that's what I mean. So are we holding on to the material aspect of it too much? Because if we are, if we're holding on to his material too much, Mike, there is a part of me that feels like we're maybe being unfair because it's like, well, he has 3 dope albums and most of the guys on this list don't.
I'm partial to the music. I mean, I think
I am too.
I think that I know you are. I think that the Eminem show is probably, in my opinion, his hands down best effort. I don't think the Marshall Mathers LP is as great as people say it is. And I like the Slim Shady LP. I think it's dope. But it's not like he's walking around with, 3 classics. But to some
he's not
people,
walking around with Rakim's first 3. Like, he's not walking around like that. But he's walking around with something, though. And I'll tell you what, I used to think, much like with America's Most, I used to think that this Marshall Mathers LP was his best album. And much like with Death Certificate, you've kind of flipped me. When I go back and listening to the Eminem show, I find it to be a more full, encompassing, and brilliant piece of work.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think he's at his best on the Eminem show. Like, that guy that we got on Renegade and Lose Yourself, that's the guy that's on the Eminem show.
I think he might have done himself a disservice by taking a break a little bit after that, or even going into the 8 Mile thing. He probably should have made another project right after, because he was on fire.
Yeah.
Because he's a dope ass MC on the Eminem show too. Like, he's not like, content wise, he's as there as he's going to be for our culture.
And even like, as far as his Slim Shady songs or whatever, I think Without Me is probably his best Slim Shady song as well. Like, I like Without Me more than I like My Name Is and The Real Slim Shady.
It's because it's more tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
It's more natural. It's more how about this? That's the battle rap MC that knows how to take the battle rap stuff and make an anthem out of it now.
Yeah. Vernon with the super chat says, just found out that Jay-Z is performing his verse on God Did at the Grammys. I'm excited for that. You excited to see that?
Nah, the plug told me weeks ago that was in the mix, and they were just waiting to see if Khaled was going to do it. And so as soon as you told me that he was performing, I was like, that means they got Khaled in. I told you, Mike, there are industry necessities that are going on.
Oh, people, the super chat says 50 is getting blackballed. He said 50 was getting blackballed, M was the only one willing to sign him. We have no idea what 50 would be. He had to leave NY to get a deal. He really did. But
M was paying for some of 50's studio sessions after he got shot, Mike, before the deal. Yeah, M paid for studio time for 50. I found that out.
I mean,
that's what I mean.
Again, 50
like
is
him and 50's
great.
Relationship. How about this? This is what I mean about part of the culture. It's like, M been on the underground scene. That's how he got the 50 first. That's what, like he got the 50 really before everybody else did. And 50 hopped on that plane because there was already a relationship prior, because M was already connected to the scene, because M was already kind of like checking up on things and keeping his ear to the ground. Like on some rap shit. That's what I mean. Like, he didn't luck up on 50. It's like, no, he was keeping his ear to the ground. He paid for some of 50 sessions before the Aftermath and Interscope thing ever happened. It's like, when you hear stories about Jay doing shit like that, you get what I'm saying? When you hear Drake, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Mad Max with the super chat, said, ain't Cole 15 and Jay signed him? Jay helped Cole. He did. And the other thing is, as far as
he gave him notoriety, but I don't know if he helped him.
He put him on the Blueprint 3. That was a big look.
What did that do? Did we ever talk about that verse of the fact that Cole's on there? Like, what did it really do? Did Jay plug it or hype it? Right.
What I was going to say, though, in regards to 50 and, just him out there working the mixtape circuit, 50 was hot, man. Like, we all knew that the 50 thing was happening. And I would be remiss. Rest in peace to Chris Lighty. 50 was already represented by Chris Lighty. So I think that Chris Lighty and Violator had a whole lot to do with connecting those dots to get 50 to Eminem. You know what I'm saying?
No, I can see that. Yeah. I can totally see that. And Lighty was that type of guy that would plug things up like that. But this is what I'm saying, and this is what I mean. It's like, well, Eminem was on the scene with people like Mos Def and Thought and Talib way before any Interscope stuff, Sound Bombing, Royce, Dre.
The 50. Outsiders. I heard Eminem took his verse off of Rod Digger's album or something.
See, that's what I'm saying, Mike. So it's like, no, Mike, he's plugged to a lot of rap shit that a lot of guys that's on this list ain't plugged to, like, on some rap shit, Mike. That's what I mean. But
I think my only problem is the execution of it, right? And again, I'm partial to the music. And, of course, we know all of these things in the background, but it just doesn't feel like it came through the music in that way. It's almost
And
like
you,
he's a dope MC that made counterculture rap music for an audience that didn't listen to rap music.
I mean, Mike, you know the golden rules. People with the gold make the rules. And so he put himself in position to make some of the rules. And I think that was the choice. And I think the music suffered because of it after the third album. And so I don't think that any of your musical outtakes are wrong. Like anything that you've said or that we've said before, I'm not taking back. I'm just trying to add more to the picture. I'm not trying to take away and like I'm not backtracking and I'm not asking you to backtrack. I'm saying these are the other things that maybe that we need to look at to create a more full picture for the people who feel like, yo, y'all not being fair to him.
And I agree with that, and I'm glad that you're bringing that to the table because
now you know who don't have
I
none
can
of
be
that
very tunnel vision when it comes to this.
Right now you want to know who doesn't have any of these things that I'm speaking about in their favor, though, Mike?
Yeah, I know. It's true.
You want me to say it?
I'm not saying his name.
Kendrick don't have none of this shit that I'm talking about, Mike. And so we still where we are with that. But I would like to transition that by putting Eminem in our rubric and then putting Drake in the rubric, unless we have some other bids that we need to cover first.
I want to get through some of these super chats, and I do want to get some of the Grammy predictions before we get out of here.
Let's do super chats, Grammys, and then throw them in the mix, MC Hammer style.
Okay. John Wayne with the super chat says Jay-Z just helped 200 black inmates conditions. That's dope.
That's great. That's black culture. That's not hip hop culture. Okay, being locked up's not a hip hop thing.
DFW Herbie with the super chat says the term capitalist was coined by Marx,
who was a socialist and a communist.
Right. LP with the super chat says capitalism, socialism, these are economic ideologies, not moral. We need to stop putting a good/bad view on them. It's about how one functions in it.
They're doctrines.
Perfectly
They're
said.
Doctrines.
Perfectly said, Leroy Green with the super chat says, they say folks have a full staff of people that they pay every 2 weeks. They'll understand what Jay-Z has been doing since the 90s. I'm sure we got more. Jay Short with the super chat says, I don't think that we're knocking Jay for being a capitalist. We're just not going to let you reinvent yourself as Ice Cube or KRS-One. We're not fooled after 20 years. Jay's top 10 still for me. So no hate. And I feel you with that, Jay Short. Because I'm
that's fair.
When he got in that interview and said money's not everything, it's like
no. Hey, real talk, Mike. I don't want to hear no righteous talk from Jay. It's way too late from that. It's too late. Like and not saying it's like, oh, you can do it, but guess what? I hope you're not doing it to sell records or to gain notoriety. I hope you're doing it for the message, because I don't want to hear you on record talking that way, because I don't believe it. And what supersedes me not believing it, Mike? Well, it's not what you're best at.
Antonio, you know what? I'm gonna cap that off with this. I think whenever Jay's passionate about something, he's best at that. And I think that's and now that you mention that, that may be my thing with 444. When Jay is in you don't know mode and heart of the city mode, he's great at it because I believe him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know the man, but based on the levels that he reaches on certain type of records, I feel like that he really feels that. I don't really feel 444 like that because it just doesn't come across as real as the other stuff does. Or maybe he's just a really good actor with some of those you don't know records. But when he's on his braggadocious shit, conversational shit, his hustler shit, that's his best shit because he's very convincing in that.
That's what I mean.
How
many times we got to talk about conversational Jay up in here?
Right. Antonio with the super chat says, we all participate in capitalism. You're doing it on this show now. It's affording us to send super chats. I don't understand the hate for capitalism. I agree with you, Antonio, 100%.
We actually got to talk about our Patreon show because of some things, quite frankly, and it's the socioeconomics and the time versus the money. Like, we got a whole algorithm about the time and the money that we spend putting into stuff and like what the get back of it ups. And we have some questions for our audience when we get done with the formal parts of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talib with the super chat says, Panamanians in the building. Coop is right with the it was written prevents Nas from being sent back to the bridge. And the hood always loved it was written. Save his life. Yeah.
Yeah. One of 300,000 albums again.
Yeah. Gary Pierce with the super chat says it was written was #1 on the Billboard 200 for 4 consecutive weeks. In 1996, when Tupac, Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, Fugees, and Toni Braxton were all going diamond. Yeah, needed that, and it was great timing too.
It was in a big year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. It's like no. He came and poked his head out, did 2.5 mil in 96.
Yeah. Free with the super chat says capitalists are a part of economic development. The critique is for when it's eventually stopped being productive and turns into rent-seeking parasitism. Definitely. Elijah Muhammad was a great capitalist, great businessman. He was able to have the nation functioning as its own organism. He had to be able to be a capitalist to achieve something like that, where they didn't need things from outside sources. It's important.
Called building a business.
Michael Williams with the super chat says, I've often heard you guys praise Kendrick's songwriting on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Shouldn't that make Kendrick a lyricist of the year contender by default? Or do you distinguish between songwriting and lyricism?
I do, because I think LL Cool J is a great songwriter, but I don't consider him necessarily to be a top-notch lyricist, and I say the same thing about Snoop. So no, it's not the same thing. You can be a great songwriter and not be super lyrical.
Mm-hmm. I agree with those sentiments. Brandon Sloan with the super chat says, the way I am is the white man's ambitions as a writer.
I can see that. I like that.
Facts. That's the funniest super chat I read all day. I thought he was gonna say Meek Mill's intro or something, but what you said was way more perfect than what I thought you were gonna say. Michael Williams with the super chat says, "Now y'all woke. I'm laughing at Nas. Y'all niggas. Y'all used to say Nas was talking that anti-establishment business. Always felt that that was partially aimed at Jay."
I was saying that Nas is anti-establishment aimed at Jay. Do you see how people will create stuff in their own mind?
Did I read that wrong?
Williams, all due respect to you, calling Nas anti-establishment with some of his rhetoric and ethos musically throughout his career has absolutely nothing to do with Jay.
So y'all used to say that Nas talking that anti-establishment business. Always felt that it was partially aimed at Jay. The L Webb with the super chat says, we all participate in capitalism because we don't have a choice. The hate is because the 1% own all the wealth.
That's what I try to say. It's like we live in America, right?
I mean, just the world is capitalism, at a large
scale. It usually spins off the main market and economy market. That would be us.
Yeah.
So
Esquire with the super chat says, now y'all woke. I'm laughing at niggas they used to say Nas talking that anti-establishment business. It's trendy to be the conscious MC in 2023. They're quoting Nas. Let's see. I feel like we got more. LP with the super chat says, in my opinion, Jay is of the world and Nas is of the spirit. LP always comes with the quotes. So, of the world, of the spirit, I'm going to ask your opinion on some of these rap categories. Well, first of all, and I'm not trying to be funny, it's just the next transition. Of the 8 Grammys that Kendrick Lamar is nominated for on Sunday, how many do you think he'll win?
What are the categories? Oh my God.
Well, I mean, he's in a bunch of different categories. He's not just in hip hop categories. I was just going to go in the rap categories, but he's actually in, I want to say, album of the year category, song of the year category. He's in some categories that are outside rap categories. So, what?
I don't know, Mike. Just give him the 6 Grammys and send it.
You think he's going to win 6?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, if he wins 6, man, that's legendary.
He got nominated for 8.
Nominated for 8.
He's taking home 4 of those at least.
Okay, 8. Yeah, the fans won't be happy with anything less than 4, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because if he gets 3 and nominated for 8, I think that's kind of an upset, right?
Well, he doesn't deserve 8 nominations based on the quality of music or lack thereof, but that's neither here nor there.
I think I'm going to go 4 as well. I mean, I want to kind of, have 2 different
4 to 6, Mike.
Here.
Like, if I was placing my bets, I would take 3 bets, but I would place most of my money on 4. Like, I would put about 70% on 4, and then I would put 15% on 5, and then another 15% on 6 for my whole 100. So somewhere between 4 and 6.
I'm predicting 4. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, no matter what Mike and Coop say, 444 is an incredible album. Just throwing that out there.
Glad you paid for that. Glad you paid for that. You have to pay. You have to pay to get somebody to say that on this show. It's not true.
Regardless of what we say. All right. So here's the rap categories, right? Best rap performance.
You got song of the year. What song? That's the problem. Ain't no good song.
I think the Hard Part 5 or something.
It's not that good.
All right, so best rap performance. Here go the nominees. God Did, DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, and Jay-Z, John Legend, and Friday. Vegas, Doja Cat. Pushin' P, Gunna, Future, and Young Thug. Well, we know they're not going to win.
Won't be winning anything.
I ain't saying that to be funny. They deserve it, but we know that's
funny.
Eminem, Glorilla, and The Heart Part 5, Kendrick Lamar. This is best rap performance. Who do you have winning this category?
Kendrick.
I think God Did's gonna win that one because Jay's performing.
No, you're right. Jay is performing,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he shows up and performs if he's not winning that award.
I mean, and him performing probably, is it enough to get Ross and Wayne out of their chair?
Oh no, they're performing too. They're performing.
Oh, they are. Is that down? So we have that.
Yeah.
That's booked.
Yeah, they posted that on their
they're
Instagram.
giving them that then. If that's the case, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Weezy and Ross gonna be there?
Yeah. The Grammys posted that on their Instagram. All right, so
Yeah,
best melodic rap performance. Interesting.
I don't know what that means.
Right. So it sounds like it just means
I don't know what that means.
It just means black. I don't know. All right. Beautiful. DJ Khaled featuring Future and SZA. Wait for You. Future, Drake, and Tim's. First Class. Jack Harlow. Okay, I got a question.
First Class.
No. I have a question.
Boy, Jack about to win.
I see how Wait for You. Let me go through the rest of these songs. Die
Very
Hard.
problematic, the stuff you keep on listing off.
Yeah,
Die
bad. Hard, Kendrick Lamar featuring Blast and Amanda Riffer. And Big Energy, Lotto. Okay.
Most of the stuff you've been naming is whack, boy.
Those songs are all sung. How is First Class in a best melodic rap performance category? Is it because of Fergie's hook?
All I gotta say is at least Eminem could rap his ass off. Next.
Wait a minute. I didn't see this. Am I tripping? How is this even in this category? It doesn't even seem like it fits in this category. My pick
That's how they fleece you, Mike.
Future Wait for You should win. Either Future Wait for You or Lotto's Big Energy should win this.
It's not beating Jack Harlow.
He shouldn't even be in this category. And I'm not just saying this as the guy that, ruined the Jack Harlow run, allegedly. He shouldn't be in this category. Like, All of
Now,
these songs
Mike,
have
it's like you said,
melodies.
Mike, it's like you said, we're co-hosts, so I'm going to take co-responsibility for ruining that run. But mostly your fault behind the scenes.
I
Behind the
don't
scenes, your
want
fault.
you to have
in
to
front of
take
the camera,
credit for this.
taking half that blame for you. Behind the scenes, it's like, yo, this nigga Mike.
No, we both can't take. No, we both can't take credit for that. Somebody's gonna have to, be able to walk
Mike,
away
I'm gonna
from.
I'm gonna let you take credit for that. Definitely behind the scenes, you were like, "What the fuck is this?"
No, I don't want both of us to have to go down for that one. Uncle Fran with the super chat says, "How is Nas anti-establishment and a venture capitalist?" I would tell you, it's impossible to do that in Cuba. Yeah.
See, this is what I'm saying, though. See, you have to understand, a venture capitalist, that's somebody that invests into something to take a piece, as opposed to investing into the establishment. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? That is different.
Antonio with the super chat says,
that's a little economics 202, not 101.
Antonio with the super chat says, I digress. I'm sorry. Disregard the last super chat about 444.
Yo, so disrespectful. That's disrespectful. That's funny.
Okay, I don't know, man. I'm torn. I think they might give that one I think they're gonna give that to Lotto. I think they should give it to Future and Drake, but I think Lotto's gonna get that melodic one. Best rap song.
Mike, it's another Love TKO. Jack Harlow's winning that.
Okay.
Think I better let it go.
He shouldn't even be in that category. That's crazy. All right, best rap song. Churchill Down. Jack Harlow and Drake. God Did. God Did's in that.
Mike, stop naming other songs.
The Heart Part 5.
This is the hard category. This is where all the mid reside, right? This is where all the mid reside. Jack Harlow, Kendrick, God Did. This is all the mid right here.
Pushin' P and Wait For You.
Oh, yeah.
Now, see.
Bunch of mid-level exception, huh? Give me Jack Harlow and Drake, Mike, for the win.
I think God Did's going to win that one.
No, this is Price is Right, Mike. I'm about to come on down and win me a refrigerator or maybe like a blow dryer.
Now, this is the one I thought was really interesting. Best rap album.
Jack Harlow winning 2 Grammys, Mike.
Best rap album. God Did, DJ Khaled. I Never Liked You by Future. Come Home, The Kids Miss You, Jack Harlow. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, Kendrick Lamar. It's Almost Dry, Pusha T.
Kendrick's winning that. It's gonna be the worst album to win album of the year.
You don't think Pusha T got a chance?
Since he got shafted by Macklemore. It's gonna be the worst rap album to win since Macklemore won Best Rap Album. And Macklemore's album probably better than this shit too, but that's neither here nor there.
A part of me feels like A part of me feels like Pusha T's gonna win this. I feel like this album.
You keep on fooling yourself, and you think that if you want to.
All this album of the year talk and all that stuff, man. He not saying this for no reason. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Pusha T's gonna win that.
You go ahead and do that, Mike. I'll be right back here on Monday, because we probably gonna be on YouTube on Monday, laughing at you for picking Pusha T. Be laughing.
Okay, so you're saying Mr. Morale and the Big Stepper is gonna win Best Rap Album at the Grammys?
Saying it's not even conversational.
Okay.
It's not even conversational. I don't even know why we having this conversation.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, I totally expect Hov to perform God Did and a B-side fan favorite. Money, I would say my money is on Grammy Family Freestyle. Fitting and makes total sense. Man, if he does Grammy Family Freestyle, man, we're going to be up here like it's church.
Where's Easy?
Jay Short with the super chat says, I don't know what's worse, K-Dot's nominations or Beyonce's. Album getting nominated with songs that no one listens to. Stevie's shaking his head. Yeah, man.
Stevie shaking his head. We shaking our head right now. This ain't going to get to Stevie till later. He in Africa. Stevie live in Africa. Stevie don't live here. This ain't going to get to Stevie till tomorrow.
What do you think about the tribute that they have scheduled with Quavo for Takeoff.
I just read about that.
What do we
I
expect
just
to
literally
see
read
there?
about that.
I'm just gonna say this, man. Like, you know me, I'm a Migos fan, man. Quavo too, and I've always said that I think he's one of the best group leaders hip hop's ever seen. I I don't like the if I hope Offset's involved. I'm just gonna say that. I just hope that happens. I mean, I just don't understand. Maybe I just don't understand the inner workings of everything that's going on. But it's like, man, nothing's bigger than what just happened to bring you guys back together, at least on stage, to honor, your group member together.
So I'll tell you like this, Mike, and I'll say this, not a lot of people know this. My aunt passed a few days ago.
I'm sorry to hear
And
that, man.
yeah, um, was sitting in my aunt's house where my other aunt passed at, talking to my aunt and my mother the other day, and we're in prayer, but we're also talking about how death makes people react, and everybody's reaction to death is different. So,
Right.
what I will tell you is just pray for those that do not react in a way that maybe that you would, because understand everybody deals with death differently. It
Yeah.
does different things to different people. And
Yeah.
and that was just in my family this week and just got shared with me. So I'll pass
Yeah.
that good word along as it applies to that.
Yeah. And prayers up to everybody involved. Prayers to you and your family as well
Thank
during
you.
this time.
Appreciate that. My
But
mother lost one of her dear friends last week as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough stuff. I just those guys accomplished a lot together, and I saw it from the ground up. And I'm sure most of our listeners who followed their success, it was right there on YouTube and everything. Like that was one of the things that drew me to them. One of the things that drew me to them is the fact that they were the first act that I saw in that era where they had a video for everything. Like I heard the songs and I end up going down a rabbit hole on YouTube. I'm like, they shot a video for this? They shot a video for this too? And just to see them come up from just locals, local shows to be like, this worldwide success and worldwide as a collective too, because we don't get groups in this era. And for something this tragic to happen to one of the three, I would like to see as a fan. And again, like you said, everybody handles things differently. I would like to see those two brothers, be able to honor their fallen brother together.
No, me too. But let me tell you what, Mike, when you're young, man, this is what I mean. Like this was the conversation in the kitchen, even on my part. When my grandfather died, my cousin who died of breast cancer about 5 years ago, well, she didn't show up to my grandfather's funeral. You know what I'm saying? And I felt some type of way. And she and I didn't speak for almost a decade, Mike. By the time we reconnected, she had cancer and she was dying damn near. And so I had to spend the rest of the time cherishing those memories, but lost about 10 years.
Yeah.
And she was my biggest supporter and biggest fan. She's the one who told me to keep on doing this before she died. Yeah. So it's like, that's what I mean is it's like, oh no, I've been on both sides of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, just time and prayers and, we'll see.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. And they're doing a hip hop, I guess, to celebrate 50 years of hip hop's 50th anniversary. They're going to have like an all-star cast of people on the stage. It's a whole bunch of folks. Everybody from Run DMC, the Big Boy is on there. Big Boy from Outkast.
Oh no, I'm already privy to all that thanks to the plug. So
I mean, all the people that I saw that was on the bill per se, I don't know how they're going to do this. This is going to have to be a real huge medley. Like this is going to take up 20 minutes. Maybe they might do a DJ Cassidy type style thing.
Well, Mike, let's address why this is really happening, though. It's because people don't want to perform at the Grammys anymore because it doesn't behoove them. The Grammys doesn't pay you to perform, for one. And quite frankly, the Grammys ain't what they used to be out here in the streets, the artists, in terms of promoting the brand. And so the only reason that hip hop's even getting this look is because the artists the Grammys really want ain't fucking showing up. So we also need to keep it funky about what's really going on behind the scenes. They didn't all of a sudden fall in love with us and want to give us our due because hip hop is 50. Had the artists that they wanted showed up and performed, we wouldn't be getting this moment. And
I
so
think
you
hip
just
hop's
need to know
very
that as a community.
viable. I think hip hop's very viable too, to the point where they know people are gonna watch TV to see, certain hip hop artists. Like we bring eyeballs
No,
to the TV.
we're being used again. Yes,
Yeah.
we're being used
Well,
again.
I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I said this when Nas was, slated to perform. So
No, it's just, how about this? Because of the skew and the view of things, it's not going to look like they're using Jay. But the same thing's going on with Jay this year that was going on with Nas last year that they're talking about.
Mhm.
They're using our black artists to plug and fill holes. The other, quite frankly, bigger black artists, like, I don't know, his wife and other people, like, who are bigger outside of the spectrum of hip hop, just don't want to perform at the Grammys because it don't behoove them to.
yeah,
The Grammys about to help Beyonce sell out all these concerts. Hold up, they already sold out.
Right,
Fuck,
right.
she need the Grammys for.
right. Mo Better Code with the super chat says, I feel like Taylor Swift might win Album of the Year. It's possible. Anytime she's in a category, it's possible. Michael Williams with the super chat says, Kendrick's album has already amassed over 1 billion streams. I don't enjoy it, but to say no one listens to it is just false.
No, I mean, 17 million people listen to Vanilla Ice's album too.
Jay Short with the super chat says, if y'all believe those 1 billion streams for Kendrick's are real, that's 52 million streams a song. We need to use math and logic.
I was actually going to say, if you believe he has 1 billion streams, I got some magic beans that I'd like to sell you after the show if you're interested in buying them.
Well, I guess we need to close up in a second. I know you wanted to, put Eminem through the ringer, I guess.
Well, Eminem and Drake before we go, because here's the thing about it too, and here's why I wanted to put them in the ringer too, is that, we're at 28 on our list actually.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we started before Billboard, we're doing a little bit more diligent and I think maybe hip hop oriented rubric.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I would like to put Drake and Eminem in here because it's going to fashion out our top 30. Okay. And so after we do that, I think we can get out of here. But it would be nice to round out this week because, pretty much it took us 30 days to get to 30 MCs. So it's they're taking us an MC a day to make it happen. And so hopefully, seeing how we're in a shortened month of February, by the time this month is ending, and hopefully we'll start getting some music from people because, it's the music business. It'd be nice if artists would make music.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
Michael Williams with the super chat says Kendrick has 4 songs with over 100 million streams, N95, and over 200 streams. This is all verifiable.
No, that's what I'm saying though. It's like, Bust a Move by Young MC used to be the hottest shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel you.
I don't think that's fair to compare.
I feel you.
Want to put Eminem or Redman? Is that where we're starting?
That is where we're starting, Mike. This is what I mean. Well, impact. That's him.
Okay.
Live performance.
Redman.
Lyrics.
Redman.
Storytelling.
I think that's Eminem.
I agree with you on all of these. That's why I'm not saying anything. Classic albums.
Redman.
Classic songs. I think that might be M, Mike.
That might be, even though I personally lean towards the Redman.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, if you look at it objectively, though, it's like, well,
Yeah.
Longevity of albums.
I think that's Redman. I don't think Eminem's music's aged well.
I don't think neither one of them is aged well, but if you want to give that to Red, I'm okay. Because I think M songs have aged better than Redman songs, unfortunately.
Which ones?
Stan is aged better than any song that Redman's made. I hate to say it. So is Lose Yourself.
Even Whatever Man? Okay, I'll give him Lose Yourself.
Yeah, and like Lose Yourself is massive. That's what I mean. It's like if we're being classic collaborations.
I think that's Redman, but that can go either way.
I think that might be a tie, Mike, because Redman's collaborations outside of Method Man aren't really like that.
You know what? That may be Eminem because if you
That
think
might be
about,
him, Mike. Yep.
yeah, I'm just gonna get.
Longevity, quality of the career.
I think that's Redman, man. I think that that's one of the things that really hurts him is that longevity part of it. He hadn't really made a dope album in 21 years. I won't say a dope album, but you know what I mean. Something that reflects who he is.
So, voice.
I think that goes to Redman as well.
And I just wanted to do this to be fair. Redman won 6-5.
Okay. I mean, do you think any of that was unfair? Does anybody out there think any of that was unfair? Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Coop, nothing brings family together like death, and unfortunately, nothing drives family apart like death. Condolences to you and your loved ones. Prayers up.
Appreciate that.
Was that fair?
No, that's why I'm saying. That's why I want to put them in the rubric, and I want to say it out loud and go through the categories, because we started at the person that was 28th on our list, Redman, who is probably Eminem's biggest inspiration.
Right.
And so I just want to make sure before we go any further that it's like we have Q-Tip, Cool G Rap, Kendrick, Kim, and Busta and DMX right ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they're like slouches.
No, nobody on this list is a slouch at this point.
No, I just want to make sure that for people that feel like sometimes that we're ranking Eminem unfairly.
Mm-hmm.
Because anytime that I've done a list, Mike, I've told people it's like, well, he would probably fall somewhere between 20 to 30 on my list.
Yeah.
And when I say that, people look at me, it's like, well, you're not being fair to him and everything that he's done. And it's like, no, hip-hop is 50. There have been a lot of great cats.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that to knock him, but it's like, that's what I mean.
What about Drake?
Well, let's do Drake next then.
Okay.
So Eminem's at 29, right?
Yeah, for now.
So are we putting Drake next to Eminem, right?
We can do that.
Because here's what else I want to do, too, because here's what people are going to say. This is what I mean. The next show, we need to do the other MCs that are going to make Billboard's top 10 list and see how they fall in here. Most of their names are already on our list. Like, we got to put Wayne to the test, Nicki to the test, Nas, Jay, Big, Pop. Like, run them through and start running them down against each other and see where it falls.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe put some people like Drake and Eminem on this back, like, up further, because moving somebody up, like maybe putting Drake up against somebody like a Busta Rhymes could end up shaking up this list. But
it really
Impact,
could.
Eminem or Drake?
Impact, man, I'm going Drake.
I think, how about this? He's only one of a handful of people you could, I think, viably, if you're being objective, put it over Eminem, but I'll give him that. Live performance, I think Eminem.
I'm going Eminem with that.
Lyrics.
Eminem.
Storytelling.
Eminem.
Classic albums.
I think that goes to Drake.
Barely, though.
Yeah.
Songs.
Drake.
Longevity of albums.
I think that's Drake, too.
Songs. Longevity.
I think that's Drake, too.
Classic collaborations.
That's definitely Drake.
Career longevity, quality, that's him. Voice can be a tie for me because I don't love either one of their voices, but what say you?
I don't love either one of their voices either, but I think that Drake may get that because of the whole singing, doubling, and stuff like that. So.
Okay, so Drake beat Eminem.
Okay.
And so now put him against Redman. Impact would be Drake.
Yeah.
Live performance, Redman.
It's Redman, yep.
Lyrics, Redman.
Yep.
Storytelling.
That's probably Drake. Yeah.
I give that to Drake. I would. Classic albums.
Redman.
Are you certain?
I'm not certain.
Because here's what I would tell you. Is Muddy Waters the best thing out of both of these catalogs?
Yes.
Yes. But after that, I can't tell you for certain, Mike, that There Is a Dark Side and What the Album are better than Take Care or If You're Reading This, You're Too Late. I can't tell you that.
Well, even
And Drake
outside
has,
of that, Coop, because you got, people love Take Care, people love Nothing Was the Same, and not to mention So Far Gone is a classic. I'm not a huge fan of it, but So Far Gone is a classic. It's what it is.
right. I mean, I hate
Yeah.
to say it, those 4 albums are better than Redman's 4 best albums to me, so I would actually tell you Drake has the better catalog.
Okay.
Songs would go to Drake too.
Mm-hmm.
Longevity of albums,
That's Drake.
songs, longevity,
That's Drake.
classic collaborations,
That's Drake.
quality longevity, that's Redman. Voice,
I like Redman's voice.
he still lost this.
Okay. Drake's not an easy person to beat.
He's not.
No.
When we get done with Drake, I'm going to tell you what Nas said that the plug told me when we get done. Okay, we're to your boy Q-Tip and Drake. Impact.
Impact's Drake.
Live performance.
I think that's Q-Tip.
I'm with you on that. Lyrics. I think that's Drake, Mike.
Think so?
I do.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, because really, Q-Tip is about the rhythm, right? You know what I'm saying? He's about the delivery.
The melody.
The way that,
Yep.
he gets it to you. So, yeah, the overall song composition. So,
Storytelling.
is that Drake?
It is. Classic albums.
That's Q-Tip.
Yeah. Classic songs.
Q-Tip.
I think that might be a tie at this
It
point,
could be
Mike.
a tie, but yeah.
I think that might be a tie at this point.
I'm biased here, so you can correct me at any point.
Right. I would actually tell you that if we're doing it by the measure, Drake's actually ahead. If we're doing it by the quality, Q-Tip is ahead. That's why I would tell you it's a tie. Drake got more. Q-Tip's got him on the quality, though. Like, because, Drake, for as dope as he may be, he hasn't made anything that resonates in our culture sphere at the core the way of Bonita or a Check the Rhyme or an award tour. He doesn't have that, but he's got a slew, though.
Yeah, he does.
So I'm cool with
Yeah.
Longevity of albums, I would tell you Q-Tip.
Yeah.
Longevity of songs.
That's Q-Tip.
Okay. Classic collaborations. I think that's Drake. I think longevity quality is Drake too, because he's been active constantly.
Yeah, he never
without
took
a break.
Off. Yeah. Never
Voice
took any time
Q-Tip.
off.
Voice is easily Q-Tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drake beat him. It's 5 in a tie, so Drake wins.
Okay.
Yeah. This is why I wanted to do this, because I figured two of them was probably going to slide up on people. Cool G Rap and Drake, Mike.
Now, this one's going to piss people off.
This is about to make heads upset if he jumps over him. Watch. This is what I mean about how you have to be objective, though.
Yeah.
Impact.
Drake.
Live performance.
Drake.
Lyrics, Cool G Rap. Storytelling, G Rap. Classic albums, Drake.
Yeah.
Songs.
Drake. This hurts to do, but
Longevity of albums.
That's Drake.
Longevity of songs.
That's Drake as well.
Classic collaborations.
That's Drake.
Career longevity quality.
That's G-Rap.
Same thing with voice, I think.
That's G-Rap.
Right. So G won 4, but there's 11 on the rubric. Drake beats G-Rap. And this is a hip-hop rubric. We not Billboard. You feel me? Like, we doing some rap shit right now. You feel me?
Oh, Kendrick's next. Now we could stop here after. He ain't gonna beat Kendrick.
Impact.
Drake.
Live performance.
Kendrick.
Lyrics.
Kendrick.
Storytelling.
Kendrick.
Classic albums.
Kendrick.
Songs.
Drake.
Yeah. Longevity of albums. Drake. Because Kendrick shit is not... Ain't nobody running around playing To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn and stuff off of there.
That's
and
fair.
You barely hear Good Kid, Mad City stuff on the radio. Drake shit from every album plays every day.
That's fair.
Longevity of songs, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Longevity of albums, same thing. Classic collaborations. Guess what? Same thing. Career longevity, quality. Mike, guess what?
Oh,
Right.
come on.
You gonna give Kendrick a career longevity over Drake when Drake ain't never took a break and this nigga took 5 years off? Do you see how not collabing and taking breaks hurts you against your competition? Voice, Mike, who you going? Kendrick or Drake? Kendrick already lost this, by the way.
I'm gonna go Kendrick or Voice.
That's fine. Guess what? He still lost.
LP
by one. If you give him Voice, he still loses 6-5 to Drake. So we not done. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Drake's a problem out here.
LP with the super chat says, Coop, what the plug say about QM and Vlad?
Nothing.
Nah,
it's not worth, because there's nothing to discuss.
Yeah, it's nothing to talk about. Okay. We're going to have to revisit this, I'm sure. All right, so Kim and Drake.
I mean, how about this? If he makes it up to 20, we're going to stop at 20. How about that?
Okay.
And we'll pick back up and revisit with him because we still need to ask our fans something before we get out of here. Impact. I think it might be a tie.
That could be a tie.
Because Kim's impact is super heavy.
Yeah, super heavy. I would say Kim, personally.
Would you say Kim? No, I'm cool with taking Kim. I think she's one of the few people that can maybe say that over him.
Yeah.
Live performance?
I might say Kim again.
Me too. Lyrics?
Drake.
Storytelling?
That's interesting.
I think Kim's a dope storyteller, Mike.
I think so too.
Better than Drake? Because Drake tells a lot of stories that he weaves in and out that people don't catch.
I'm going to go with Drake. Because he does tell a whole lot of stories. How about
Classic
Now
albums.
Popped in my head too.
Yeah, classic albums. I was thinking about the verse on Success.
Classic albums, I think Drake got that too.
Classic songs?
That's Drake.
Longevity of albums?
That's Drake.
Longevity of songs? I think that's Kim.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is interesting. Classic collaborations.
That's Drake.
Okay. Career longevity quality? Kim took break. Long break.
Yeah, that's Drake.
Voice is Kim. But guess what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She lost the same way Kendrick lost, 6-5.
Shout out 36 Chambers with the $20 super chat. He says, not ranking on a scale of 10 makes this not seem like qualifiable scaling. I can say that Kendrick beats Drake in some of these categories, and so does G-Rap or Redman.
No, he doesn't.
We need contextual evidence or a numerical system.
Ain't no contextual. No, this is what I'm talking about. Cats be saying that so it fits their argument. It's like, no, you just don't want to make the Drake's impact is this heavy, fam. That's why we doing this. It's no, you're not about to pull up and do that. We're saying it's very simple. It's like, well, who's better lyrically, Drake or such and such? Well, boom. Who's better at storytelling? Well, boom. And when you're saying contextualize, it's like, what is there to contextualize about asking if one person is a better lyricist or storyteller? What would you like us to contextualize?
Well, he was saying that, probably rate it on a scale from 1 to 10 and then add up the score and then rate.
No, we're not. See, no. We're not doing all that to fit the measure. You either better than a man or you not. You feel what I'm saying? It's like you can't, like, do you know how much time it's going to take to do that? It's like you have to create a rubric that you can actually apply that actually makes sense that people can use. The point of creating something, when you create a formula or you create a handbook, it isn't to make it so dense and so intricate that other people can't use it. It's to make it so everybody can use it. So asking whose impact is greater, oh no, that's something that you can qualify like fairly easily. If you want to debate some of these things, we can. But Cool G Rap and Kendrick won the stuff that they were supposed to win, which was like the lyrical stuff, the storytelling stuff. And Kendrick's placed the album stuff. But here's the reality of the matter. Drake don't take breaks, and Drake does all the things.
Rachel says, if you, I missed the super chat. She said, if you do this with Nas, you'll be highly disappointed.
Not like you think, because here's the reality of the matter, since you brought that up. Well, who about to beat him on lyrics, storytelling, classic albums, classic songs, longevity of albums, classic collaborations, and career longevity in voice? Who about to take those off the board? Because he would be in the lead against 95% of the people on this board, with the exception of a few people. Like, what are we talking about? The only people that can say higher impact is Drake, M, J, Big, Pop. That's what I'm saying. That's not enough. So it's like, no, I'm very, very clear about what I'm saying. Like, who beating Nas on lyrics on this list? Or storytelling, or classic albums? That's three right there, Mike.
Yeah.
That's three right there. Rakim might beat him on lyrics. He's not beating Nas on storytelling or classic albums or classic songs or longevity of albums or longevity of songs or classic collaborations.
No. LP with the super chat says, in no world does Drake's longevity of albums better than Kendrick Lamar's. But as a whole, K-Dot's albums get mentioned way more as bodies of work than Drake's. Okay.
But here's the reality of the matter. When you talk about the longevity of something, it's not just about how it's revered. It's about how it's played. Yeah, that's what I keep saying about these albums from Kendrick that everybody loves that nobody really plays.
Because we got to ask ourselves too, who's revering this stuff? Is this something that we're actually feeling the vibrations of whenever we go out or wherever we're in places where hip hop is being displayed, or is this stuff that we're just seeing in text from publications? 36 Chambers with a super chat says, Coop, what's better mean though? I can say something is better and may not actually be, especially if this is the people. People need input. We need input from the people. Yeah, I do think we need input from the people on some of this stuff too, but I think that going over this to actually have a conversation and dialogue about it is a good start to try to get to where we need to get to.
Mike, who's a better storyteller, Nas or Kendrick?
Nas is.
Do you see how easy that came out? So stop people acting like they don't know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Did you see how you said that? Mike, let me ask you something right quick. Who's better lyrically, Cool G Rap or Bun B?
Cool G Rap is, to me.
Okay, Mike, who has a better voice, Mos Def or Talib Kweli?
Mos Def.
Stop. Niggas need to stop acting like they don't know what time it is. Okay. You know what time it is. Look at your watch. You know what time it is? You a part of hip hop?
Yeah.
You know what time it is. Stop playing with me with these questions. Oh, we need to do this, that, and the other. Stop being so nerdy about this shit, and let's get to it.
And we got to get up out of here in a second, too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We trying to get up out of here. Y'all sitting up here talking, we got to do this, that, and the other. It's like, no, fam. We know everybody on this list. We know what everybody on this list do well. Like, come on. Mike, who better lyrically, Ghostface or LL?
I mean, Ghost.
Thank you.
DFW Herbie with the super chat says, even Ransom said people are mad that Drake is a better lyricist than a lot of y'all favorite rappers. Planet Asia said the same thing. Dope is dope. Brandon Sloan with the super chat says, album longevity goes to Kendrick. So does the songs. Who will be playing more 20 years from now?
First of all, Drake gonna be getting played more than Kendrick because Drake got more play than Kendrick while it happened, guys. And guess who was here first? Right. Guess who's on Good Kid, Mad City to help make Good Kid, Mad City blow, not the other way around. Hello.
Brandon also said, all Drake songs / albums come and go. No longevity. That's why he got to drop every 9 months. It's interesting take.
No, he don't. He. Okay, let me explain something to people.
LP says y'all need to let us call in.
It's centered around Drake and not like Drake don't have to do nothing. Drake gets requested to do stuff constantly because he's at the center of it. You get what I'm saying? When you're the fulcrum of something, you're the one getting the request. Part of the reason why you see Drake doing stuff every 9 months is to make everybody else shit go, Mike. That is a music business fact right now. Down to Jay and down to Nas, down to Beyonce. He is the fulcrum that the music business pivots off of, not Kendrick. That's y'all doing that creative artsy in a perfect world to Pimp a Butterfly. It's so beautiful. But here's the reality of the matter. How many records on To Pimp a Butterfly do you hear on the radio? Because I hear Take Care on the radio all the time. If you're reading this, it's almost too late. All the time. You get what I'm saying? You want me to keep on running down the line about who shit's really holding up and getting played? Mike, when the last time you heard All Right, which is his biggest single?
It's been a minute. LP with the super chat says, y'all need to let us call in. Yes. I think that's the next step. We definitely are going to do.
Well, we have an idea about that. If you would let us if you would actually let us rate Drake and stop being some haters, we would actually
Rachel Coyne says, you guys should do call-ups when you're ready. You guys should do call-ups when you're ready. Yeah, we're going to do that. All right.
Okay, Mike.
So
Okay, let's try to finish this right quick. We're at Busta Rhymes at 23. Impact.
Drake.
Live performance.
Busta.
Lyrics.
Busta.
Storytelling.
Drake.
Classic albums.
Drake.
Classic songs.
That's Drake, but damn, Busta got a lot.
He does. Longevity of albums.
It's Drake.
How's Busta's albums holding?
Yeah, that's
not
Drake.
like Drake's. Longevity of songs. I'll tell you, that's Busta. Classic collaborations.
Huh.
I think we might have our first real tie for Drake in that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with the tie with Busta.
Yeah.
Career longevity.
Yeah, that's Busta.
Voice.
Busta.
It's Busta. Busta got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a tie. So Busta and Drake are tied. Do we have any tie-breaking criteria, or maybe we need to take the weekend to figure some tie-breaking criteria?
Yeah,
because this is the first time we've had 5-5 in a tie.
But
right now, Drake's right next to Busta.
We might just need to put that as a poll up on our YouTube channel out to the people.
I'm cool with that.
And see what happens. Brandon Stone with the super chat says, Drake's the hottest fast food restaurant in town. Well, yeah, well, dang, that's crazy. Well, let's get up out of here. Great show. I'm going to be watching the Grammys to see if we're accurate. And we'll talk about this Patreon thing Monday with the folks, because I want to see what we can do.
Well, actually, I think we need to ask our people right quick and get some of their input and ask them to leave us some notes, because how you want to forge this right quick? Because we need to ask the people that are in here, because, they're the people that, like, kind of matter in this. So, Mike and I are thinking about switching our Monday show from Patreon back over to YouTube. And what do you all think about? And I think a lot of people have been saying this is like, well, you all need a call-in show. And so we want to know kind of what people's thoughts about us maybe pulling up on Monday to do a call-in show on YouTube, where we will let y'all kind of like pull up with us and kind of get your rocks off and talk about these things, or even kind of delve into the list, even open to y'all's subject matter and all that. And part of why we're forming the situation, we just haven't gathered the following that we feel like we should on Patreon. And we want to make sure that like we're hitting all the people, and that the time and the effort we're putting behind it is really going towards like really building out the culture properly. So we want to hear y'all's thoughts about if maybe we should transition the Patreon show back over to YouTube and make it more interactive for you all, because part of the whole thought with the Patreon was making it interactive. So, right.
Yeah. You said it all.
So,
and I think that maybe we can discuss
jump
that
in the chat
further.
and let us know,
Yeah. And we could definitely discuss that further with the people who are on the Patreon on Monday. But yeah, jump in the chat, let us know what you think in the comment section. And yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, the following is based, we got followings everywhere, but we kind of based the hub of the podcast out of YouTube. The Patreon expansion was kind of to make it more fan interactive, but if we need to interact with y'all here more, we're kind of,
Yeah, we're open to do whatever works for, works for the whole. 36 Chambers with the super chat. He says the Versus format is getting played. The Versus format getting to play music is important for A2HH, in my opinion, and really contributes to the culture. Those matchups help shape the discourse, and we can't do that due to copyrights on YouTube. Yeah.
No, in 36, Mike and I actually agree with you on that. But here's the thing about impacting culture. You have to touch people to impact the culture, and we're not touching enough people with that show, quite frankly. Not to be funny, because your name is 36 Chambers. Well, the Patreon been on some like only built for Cuban link shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been like a real tight-knit circle and chain, and we're having trouble creating the impact and the sustainability that we would like, because quite frankly, Monday is one of me and Mike's only free days. in the amount of time that we're spending to put into the show versus what the returns are and how it's affecting our days and our times.
Coop just went out for a second. Okay, you went out for a second.
Yeah. I was just saying, there are compromises and sacrifices that are made behind the scenes to kind of give something to the culture. And so it's like, well, we need a certain level of response to let it continue, even though I echo those sentiments that you do.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something, I was thinking about this too, Mike. And listen to what I'm about to say with this for people that feel the way 36 does. A lot of what we do on the Patreon, we can do on Station Head musically.
We could. Yeah.
If we have the albums, like think about it, like that whole Illmatic Liquid Swords thing. It's like, oh, well, we could do that on Station Head. Yep. And all the people listening, we can bring them on the Station Head and let them talk and speak their piece. Or even with some of this discourse, how about this? We could put people in the mix and be like, okay, so Busta and Drake are tied right now. So let's go pull Busta's 20 best songs and Drake's 20 best songs. And that could be the tiebreakers to have a battle off on Station Head and have the audience pick the records.
That's the way to do it. Jadarian with the super chat says, what about the membership on YouTube for exclusive content? Some of us want to support monetarily. Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to see if, that can be, we'll figure it out. And again, I think we'll talk about it further on Monday because it's not something that, I expect for us to come with a solution for in 5 minutes. Leroy Green says, where y'all been on Patreon? What I say wrong? Who'll be there Monday, man?
No, we've just had a lot going on, and what was everything Mike and I do, it kind of comes from a place of it's like, well, what can we do to contribute? And we're capitalists too, but we're always thinking about what can we do to contribute to make it work and make money. And it's like, well, this hasn't been working on either side because in order for it to contribute properly to the culture, it's just like the involvement and the engagement needs to be more like what the engagement is on here, quite frankly.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get up out of here, man. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Great show. Great talking to y'all. Boom.